Yo, yo, yo. Welcome to Just Kicking It with Polo Should and SOY. My name is Polo Should.
I'm Soy.
And I'm Paxton Porter. I'm guest today.
Word. Paxton is our first guest. So yeah, we got a packed interview. Zoom's not gonna let us have a very long episode today. So we're limited to 40 minutes, but we're gonna get it all in. So let's get right in. By the way, I didn't do that in the intro. Me and Soy were rappers from a label called Lifted One Records, based in Calgary, Alberta, and we're trying to put on our city. So that's what we're doing here. So let's get right into it. What's happened in the world this past week? So we're going to start with the global section. So in our first news today, Derek Chauvin makes first court appearance. So Derek Chauvin is the cop officer responsible for murdering George Floyd. So this is his first court appearance, since the incident happened. We obviously know like the whole world has been on an outcry. They've basically been using like Floyd's last words, "I can't breathe," as a chant, for their protest, for just injustice, and inequality all around. And so obviously what we're expecting to come out of this is, this dude gets convicted for murder. We all saw the video. So I guess how's everyone feeling about that? Do you think the grand jury is going to sway the right way, or what?
I think, and I think this whole process, like, again, has to go through the judicial system, but I think it's being expedited as quickly as possible. I do think he's going to receive the absolute maximum penalty. I think part of this is because not only does he deserve it, but the American people want to see justice. And the reality is these protests will not stop until they see justice. And let me tell you right now, the government wants the protests to stop. They want this shit to be done. So they are going to apply the maximum penalty possible to him, as well as the other cases that are currently going on. And then the other three officers that have also been charged will most likely be seeing stiff penalties as well. Obviously, they're not getting charged with, second-degree murder, but they are getting charged pretty hard as well. There was one officer that I looked at his case, and he is 35 years old. He joined the force very late. He's actually only been an officer for 9 months. So he joined the force last year. He's a rookie cop. He's only been an officer for 9 months. And he actually asked Derek, the guy who had his knee on George Floyd, if they should roll him over to help him breathe better. He asked him 3 times, and Derek said no each time. I feel like this is a really tough position to be in as a rookie cop because, again, you don't have the experience, you don't have the training. Derek had 20 years of experience as a police officer. As we all know, he's had a terrible record. He's had 12 complaints, multiple cases of shooting against other humans, specifically minorities. So he's obviously should not have been a police officer, but regardless, he was on the force for 20 years. The other police officer involved, Tao something, I can't remember his last name, but he was the Asian officer in the video who's, sort of trying to control the crowd, also an officer of 20 years. Again, like as a rookie cop, you sort of have to, defer to your elders. I think in any job, that's kind of the case. And if you're saying, hey, should we do this? And your guy who's been on the force for 20 years is saying no, you don't really question it, And I really think about that situation. I try to put myself in his shoes for a moment. Like, what would I do, right? And I think it's very easy for people to say, well, you fucking should have pushed him off. You should have just removed him from the situation. And he probably should have, honestly. There's no question he should have done something about it. The other police officers, that's why they're getting charged. That's why they deserve to be charged. But should there be an argument for a lighter penalty specifically against this guy because he asked, he said, hey, this is what my training has said. We should roll him on his side and not have the knee on his neck. Should we, should there be a lighter penalty applied on him? I'm not sure. I think about what if he had grabbed Derek and pushed him off, right? He probably would be kicked off the force, lost his job. He would be charged with assault of an officer, and he probably would have the whole police community hating him. And who knows? But he could have changed the course of history, right? He could have saved this guy's life, could have done a lot of things.
Yeah, that's true.
But again, it's a really hard situation. So I thought that was something interesting that I read on Reddit.
That's fair. So that's pertaining to the other cops. So specifically to Derek Chauvin, do you think that, he deserves to get convicted for his actions?
1,000,000%. There's no question. Maximum penalty, 25 to life.
Yeah. What about you, Soy?
Yeah. I think that's exactly what's going to happen. It just seems like he was just an asshole. Like he was just a terrible police officer.
Yeah.
And I didn't know that about the other dude. And I like that idea of putting yourself in his shoes, because even if like I work shitty jobs where the manager's like a complete, just an asshole, and you kind of just have to put up with it because you need money, or like you need stability in your life. So I guess I could kind of see it from that perspective. It is easier for people to be like, hey, I would have done this, but it's like, no, like he didn't know that it was going to start a revolution, right? So it's like, it's not, I don't know. It's an interesting thing.
So definitely we all agree that, this Derek Chauvin guy, he for sure, he deserves to go. He deserves the highest penalty. As for the other three accomplices, I've seen the video as well. I think the Asian guy was kind of like, he was kind of keeping people away, right? And so the one rookie cop was he also on the guy?
He was in the back. He was on, I think he had his hands on his knees or the back of his legs, and was essentially controlling that aspect of it. Again, there's absolutely no question that there was excessive force.
Yeah.
There was no resistive arrest. It was blatant murder. So.
Yeah. Dude had his hand in his pocket, the Derek guy, like literally broad daylight, had his hand in it, like, yo, 20 years on the job, I'm going to do this and go home, That's fucked up, So I think we're all right about that. This Derek guy deserves the highest punishment available, so that it's clear, because we do need policing, but it's clear to police officers that, this kind of shit is not gonna go unwarranted, like if you kill a black guy, like an innocent black guy like that, it's, there's gonna be high punishment for it, and I feel like if we make an example of this guy, it's gonna resonate moving forward, at least with, cops, at least in the way they approach those type of situations. You know what I mean? As for the other three guys, I didn't know about him being a rookie cop and all, I guess them all being charged, they're all going to get their individual cases and we're all going to hear their arguments and everything play out. But at the end of the day, like what everyone has going into this, watching anyway, the world is going to follow this trial closely, and what everyone has going into this is, we all watched that video, that horrible video, that guy, in the last couple moments of his life, he was begging for his mom, and all of those three guys, were involved at the end of the day. So, yeah, definitely Derek, we know that, I don't know how he's going to wiggle his way out of that. He isn't. And that's how it should be. And then the other three guys, we'll see how it plans out, but they were definitely involved in that murder.
Yeah. And I think that was, for me personally, watching that, like there was so many aspects of how terrible, how uncomfortable, and how sick it made me feel. But that moment that you just touched on, when he cried out for his mom, like he literally yelled mama, like that, I don't know, that like put a knife in my heart, man. That really fucked me up.
Real shit, man. So I hope all these guys get what's coming to them. We're all going to follow these trials closely. So we'll be talking about these next week again. So we'll see how this develops. On to our next story here. So RTJ4 dropped Run the Jewels. I saw that they actually had the release planned for a lot later, but just because of everything going on in the world, they decided to move up their album date, because, and that's confidence in the content that they have in their music, while other rappers who know that they don't have content in their music are like, yo, we can't drop right now. These guys are moving a lot. They moved their release, sooner, just so we would hear it in time. So we all checked it out this past weekend. So what's everyone's thoughts on RTJ4?
Go ahead, Paxton.
Okay. Well, for me, easily. So I use Apple Music. I know you guys are Spotify users, but when you listen to an album on Apple Music, there are certain tracks that have a star beside them, indicating that they're either a heavily listened to track or they're maybe like a single, that sort of thing. So the first thing I noticed was that Ooh La La, track 2, Out of Sight, track 3, and track 7 all had stars beside them. So I was like, okay, these are the tracks to look out for. For me, track 3, Out of Sight, with 2 Chainz, was easily the best track on the album. Easily. Not even close. I immediately threw that onto a playlist of mine, like with new hits. But honestly, overall with this, again, I have to give it another third, second listen. Like I really try to listen to albums 3 or 4 times before I really give my ultimate opinion. But I got to say, I wasn't super impressed. I'm giving this a 7 out of 10. Just with Pharrell, I love Pharrell. Anytime that Pharrell has a feature or he's, on another project with an artist that I love, I'm always looking forward to that. I think that was a forgettable track. I really do. I think his feature was completely forgettable. Ooh La La, the fucking chorus annoyed the shit out of me. Like when he was literally saying ooh la la, like I was like, ugh. And then I will say this, track 4, Holy Kalamafuck. I don't know. That had a great beat switch. And the thing about tracks with beat switches, I don't know if you guys agree or not, but I feel like when the beat switch is so like divisive, like it's just a completely new track almost, it really just makes me feel like, okay, this is 2 songs I'm listening to, even though it is the one song. And I usually end up siding with one song that I like, or side of the song that I like more than the other. And so with Holy Kamala Fuck, when the beat switch happens, I actually like the second beat a lot more than first beat. I don't know. That's kind of overall how I felt about it. There are definitely some great like memorable lines. Obviously, like, yeah, they referenced George Floyd. They said, I can't breathe. And they kind of used some sort of vocal sample to kind of make it seem like Killer Mike was actually running out of breath. On track 4, on Highly Come Fuck, they had a really funny line that I was like, he was like, until you rob a hype beast, you ain't seen sadness. And the line before that was he was talking about taking everyone's Supreme jackets. And I thought that was kind of funny because I was like, shit, like I wear that stuff. And like, yeah, definitely I'd be pissed if someone came through. But yeah, track 6 chorus, really lame for me, honestly. Aside, like the lyrics were great, but the chorus, I wasn't really vibing with it. That's the walking in the snow. That's when that girl sings that part. And she's like, it's cold. Wasn't really messing with that.
And that motherfucker.
Yeah, didn't like it. And track 9 though, The Ground Below, I really like the beat on that. So those are kind of my notes that but I will say though, for track 2, the Ooh La La, like I didn't like the chorus, but I did like the piano loop. And I thought they used the kick very well, like in the way that they structured the beat.
That's definitely,
I'm giving it,
that's definitely a dope beat.
7 out of 10 for me though. That's where I'm putting this up.
Fair enough. How do you feel about it being an album that touches on, the social issues going on right now?
I mean, I expect that from Run the Jewels. So the reality is like, I factor that into it, but I'm almost like not, because like I would almost be shocked if they didn't do that. You know what I mean? Because that is what Killer Mike is. Again, Killer Mike is very much, political activist in Atlanta. His family members are police officers. He is a very much activist for Black gun ownership. So again, it's just like something that I expect. But I think they've had better bars overall. But I would say, like, obviously the lyricism was great. I think this too, honestly, I think there are some Run the Jewels albums where I think LP killed Killer Mike. But I think on this one, Killer Mike took it.
Fair enough. What do you think, Soy?
I love it. I was biking yesterday, and I listened to it 3 times while I was biking. I don't know. I can't pinpoint songs because I just had it on loop, so I wasn't looking at the songs titles. I actually like the hook on Ooh La La. I just do, and I love the beat. I think my favorite song is A Few Words for the Firing Squad. I like how it's building up, and I like the violins in the background. And I like what's being said. I do like the Pharrell. I like what they were saying about the slave masters on your dollar bill. I never even thought about that. I also like Walking in the Snow is probably like one of my favorite songs. I like the hook. I like Gangster Boo. I think that's hilarious when you just say, because I don't know I was like biking to it and I was literally just like this. God damn that motherfucker. And then I like overall what's being said throughout the project. I think it's pretty cool that it's intertwined with kind of what's going on right now. I'm sure like they're so conscious that it's just like there's probably things they didn't even change that are just related to now. But I did like the George Floyd where he says, "I can't breathe." I thought that was sick.
Yeah.
I think Killer Mike has I love the way he raps. Love his rap voice. I think the beats on here are really, really creative, which is like the first thing I picked up. I was like, these beats are not like, there is like trap elements, I guess, in some songs, but it's mostly like, it kind of feels like, how do I put it? It feels very like, it's just in your face, so loud. And I'm going to keep listening to this. I listened to it this morning. So I guess I've listened to this 4 times now. It's been a while since I've had an album like that where I just like, I'm like just putting it back on. Yeah, I really did like this whole thing top to bottom. I think probably my favorite verse is 2 Chainz verse on Out of Sight. I just think he was just rapping so well. And I was like, this is dope. But that's like, I mean, this has been out. I've listened to this for 1 day. So like my opinion could change. But yeah, overall, I honestly, I loved it from top to bottom. I really did.
10 out of 10 for you?
I don't know if it's 10 out of 10. Like, I don't know. I think like, I don't know. I don't really like, I just really love it. And we'll see if it's like it holds up in like 5 years or something. I'm sure it will.
We'll see.
Yeah. What'd you think, Show? I guess I'm in the minority here.
I liked it. I feel like maybe I'm in between both of you. I don't think I liked it as much as you saw it. I don't think I disliked it as much as Paxton. I feel like I enjoyed it. I only listened to it once straight through this morning. I definitely got to listen to it a couple times. Like, I'm excited to go back to a couple tracks. I really liked the Out of Sight track with 2 Chainz. I felt like, 2 Chainz, went hard. That beat is unique as fuck.
As fuck.
The Ooh La La, the beat is crazy too. That piano sample, DJ Premier is credited on the song as a feature, but he's obviously like involved in the beat. But yeah, that beat is crazy too. I actually do fuck with the Pharrell track. Definitely not. It's not going to be a single or anything. I wouldn't even rank it high in Pharrell's features. I feel like Pharrell is one of those artists that we don't like. People like him like an artist who has like albums and catalogs out. You know what I mean? Like, they like him like those, but he's not an artist like that. This is how we see Pharrell. He always shows up on people's stuff. So I feel like as far as if we're rating this as far as his appearances on people's things, then yeah, I wouldn't put this very high, but I think this is a dope cut, and it blends in well with the project. And then I really like A Few Words for the Firing Squad. I really love the ending, like how the beat switches up at the end there. And then it's just, I love what you're saying in the song, and it's just beautiful, just it was a great way to end the project. I think overall, this project was cohesive. That's for one thing. I definitely feel like this isn't the best Run the Jewels. I've heard every single one of them. And I like as they dropped. So I definitely was a fan. I mean, I am a fan. But so I can say that Run the Jewels 1 and 2, 3 definitely has more songs that I felt right off the bat, but I need more time with this one. Mm-hmm. So I don't want to say this is the worst one, but I definitely got more enjoyment out of the first 2. That's for sure. I feel like, the hip hop community at large would say that the first 2 are classics. And then, I don't know. I just feel like, it just seems like I'm hearing elements from the very first one. I'm not really hearing them trying to like push it any further, as far as, you know what I mean? I feel like it's a good project, and at the end of the day, like, this is a project to feed their fan base. If you're a fan of RTJ1 and 2, you're gonna fuck with this, because it's sonically it fits into that same scope, and they're doing what they do best. Like you said, like Killer Mike is an activist. And LP is a fucking spitter himself, and when they come together, they always make these kind of records. And I think it's dope that, they bumped up their album release date, to put out music, to feed the times. Because it's just, just knowing, kind of knowing your audience, knowing who you're speaking to, I was seeing that they're basically going to lose money basically because, you know, you're not going to get all the promotion they were going to have in place if they had, you know, done it on their actual, if they released on their actual day. But, you know, it's, you know, it was more important to them to get the music out there, to get this art out there during this time, you know. So I definitely stand by that, and I'll definitely be running this back a couple times. So yeah, I think overall, I thought this was a good album. You know, definitely an album that reflects what's going on right now very well as well. So yeah,
that ooh la la beat is actually disgusting.
Yeah,
it's ridiculous.
Yeah, LP is such a good producer. And
he produced that?
I think
man, LP does the whole project.
He does. Yeah, he always produces all the Run the Jewels shit, right? And so he just, and then obviously there's other people who come into, but it's like there's that one line I think they have. I think it's on RTJ4, and it's like,
it's like if
the beat of the year. Well, LP didn't make it, so get the fuck out of here. Like that one. Yeah. I mean, yeah. Anyways.
That was the first thing I picked up. I'm just like, oh my! And then the DJ Premier scratches at the end.
Yeah.
I was like,
yeah, definitely. Should.
Yeah. Yeah, the beats are tight, you know, and again, so one guy doing all the beats on all these projects, you know, so definitely,
incredible.
You know, we're going to be critiquing him as much as we want, but he definitely has a sound that he's crafted. It's definitely his own sound, you know, and yeah, this is their latest offering, and I guess I need to sit with it more, but right off the bat, first impression, it's definitely a good listen, and I think that's the general consensus amongst us right now. So on to our next topic. On the conversation of songs that are meaningful right now, songs that are trending right now. I was watching Everyday Struggle just last night, this past week's episodes, and they were just talking about how Good Kid, Mad, what's the album? To Pimp a Butterfly, is back on like Apple Music charts and Spotify charts.
Yes.
You know, and it's probably going to be back on Billboard 200 album charts, just because of, you know, what it was talking about politically. And I know like songs like All Right are, you know, making its way back up the charts as well. So yeah, just wanted to touch on that. How do you guys feel about that?
I love that. I mean, there's certain tracks that are popping out right now. All Right by Kendrick. You know, This Is America, Gambino, you know, Changes by Tupac. You know, I mean, there's other, Fuck the Police, NWA, you know, that's the easiest one. But it makes sense. I mean, those tracks are dedicated to that sort of issue, and it makes sense that those things would pop out. For All Right, I love the fact that Pharrell played the drums, like physically played the drums, and you hear that drum fill. It's like we go, you know, that's a dope track. This Is America. I like the track. But I actually like it more with the video. Without the video, the track on its own, I think doesn't stand as well. Not that it's a bad song, but just like, you know, so I don't go back to it as much. Obviously very meaningful though. And then Changes by Tupac is something that I kind of shuffled in my recent playlist. Because I think that honestly it's so artful. The sample from, is it Bob? Oh man, who's the guy? The sample, I can't remember off the top of my head right now who the sample is from. It's a song from the 80s, and I actually have been listening to that song too, because that again is kind of, I mean, even though it's a more like, you know, classical version, it still has the same meaning. You know, it's all like about race and politics in the city and that kind of thing. I'm gonna play Changes by Tupac on the drums today and try to record it and upload it. Do like my drum cover of it. I'm hoping I can do that today. So, yeah.
That's dope, man. Yeah. I think it's a great thing that these songs are, you know, resurfacing. It just shows that, you know, making music with meaning will always have value, you know. How do you feel about this, Soy?
It's great. Yeah. I've actually just been on this whole, since like coronavirus, I've just kind of been on this whole Tupac thing. I really just was listening to his discography, but I could see it being more relevant now. I mean, it all makes sense, right? It's not like there's nothing to disagree with. It's literally just like things are happening that are associated with these songs that have been talking about this, and they're coming back up because this is real life and it's really happening, right? So I think it's pretty dope.
Word. So yeah, That's great. These songs are trending. Um, our next topic is releasing music right now. Still in that music conversation. So right now, the tone on social media, the tone in the world, really right now, is really towards this movement. Is really, if you're not for this movement, we don't want to hear what you have to say, which makes sense. Because this is a great movement, and is bringing awareness to something that really has needed to change for a long time. And that's the mindset of racist people. So with that being said, as a musician, someone who's in the business of selling vibes, it seems like an awkward time to be releasing music, when the tone is so somber right now, so I just wanted to touch on that. How'd you feel about that, Soy?
I think you really got to be super delicate. Like, I'm not trying to like, if a Kendrick Lamar right now or a J. Cole dropped something right now, that would make sense. And that I would think that's not a play to use this activism as a way to sell your projects. Because I think that's a big issue, is where it's like, sometimes like certain artists, if they're going to drop something, it may not come off as sincere. And it's kind of like, that's going to destroy your career if you screw it up. So I think you have to be super careful as to what you're promoting. But yeah, I don't know. Like, I'm not really trying to hear a rapper brag about his money right now, to be honest with you. Or like, I'm not trying to listen to, well, I don't know. It's a
each his own, right? Yeah, everyone has, I just feel like, probably in Atlanta, they're probably still bumping Lil Baby at those protests, like, it's not protest music, but it's, it's the music of the community, so I don't know. It's, for me, I don't, well, I think it's just a perspective thing. Like we said, we're going to talk about this, but for me, I don't know. I just feel like you just have to be delicate. Like you said, like, just have to be like, to me, like, you're right. Like, if you were in this time when everyone's protesting and stuff, if Lil Baby was to drop, a fucking 20-song album, all about how many chains he has, that would be pretty insensitive. That'd be pretty insensitive.
Yeah.
Even if everything was banging, So I think if we was to do 15 tracks and, a couple of the tracks, did address some of the issues, we'd probably still bite off his head for all the Chainz tracks, but, we'd be like, yo, thank you for, feeding the cause. Yeah, exactly. So I think you're right. It's definitely about being delicate. But I think, like you said, like if you're saying that, the J. Coles and the Kendricks can drop, why can they drop? It's because they're going to speak on the issue. It's because what they're going to drop is going to be relevant, so it's music can still be dropped right now, but it's about, knowing the content, knowing the audience, reading the room, and being like, all right, this is what the people need or don't need, so I think you're right. Just be delicate with it. I think music can still come out right now, but it is definitely a sensitive time.
Mm-hmm.
Are you guys surprised that Cole and Kendrick haven't dropped anything?
Mm-mm.
Like not even like a freestyle or like a, what I mean? Like a 16.
I think they're literally just living out. They're literally protesting. Like,
definitely.
They're actually just doing what they said they've been wanting to do. So I think they're just real to me, like that. That
makes sense. Well, I mean, they are. Like, I've seen photos of Cole and I've seen photos of Kendrick, like, out there. But do you also think, like, in addition to being at the protest, being with the people, do you think there's something to be said for using your platform and specifically in music and powerful words to kind of just drop a 16 and, just put it out there and be like, this is my thoughts on the situation, or not?
I guess, man.
Yeah. So go ahead, sir.
I just feel like we talked about this before we started, and it's just kind of like there's all this pressure from celebrities right now, and this even leads into our next topic. But there's all this pressure from celebrities right now, to make a statement, just because, that's what the norm is right now. Like that's what the room is saying right now.
Very true.
So yeah, I just feel like with that being said, you know, everyone is being forced, feeling like they have to say something, you know, even if that's not where you really stand, you know, everyone is feeling like, all right, I gotta say something towards this. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. I don't know. And I just feel like you shouldn't, you know what I mean? Like, so if this is about J. Cole and Kendrick, you know, we look at these guys and these guys are, you know, these guys are activists in their music, you know, in the songs we've heard of them before this shit happened, you know, they were doing this, you know, and so it seems crazy to me, you know, to just, you know, this shit happens and everyone's like, yo, Kendrick's the activist guy. How come he's not saying anything? How come he's not dropped a 16? You know, how come he's not? And it's kind of like, you know, and it's like, at this point, if Kendrick was to drop a 16, you know, it would just be like he's doing it to appease you guys, you know? You know what I mean? And that's how I see it, you know. And I'm not saying that. So that's all I'm saying is I'm not saying that Kendrick is, or these guys don't stand with it.
No, they definitely do. Exactly. They're out there. They're physically out there.
Exactly, but it's just like it just seems like now there's like, oh, NFL said something, oh, Jay-Z said something, oh, this person said something, yo, Kendrick, Cole, where are your statements? Yo, you know, where more days pass by and you're like, yo, I'm starting to get angry as a fan, bro. Where that statement at? At least at 16. Come on, like, you know.
Right. Fair enough, yeah.
You know, so that's kind of how I see it. I don't feel like they have to say anything right now because we know them to say stuff. And we know that even if Kendrick doesn't drop this year, we know whenever we get the next Kendrick album, he's going to say something. Yeah. You know? We can't say that about, you know, there's many rappers that we respect right now. Like we can't say that about Young Thug, you know, you know what I mean? Like, yeah. You know, and so that's at the end of the day, that's why a Young Thug would have to come out right now to show where he stands, you know, because we're not going to hear the music later on. So right. That's how I see it. I don't feel like, yes, it would be nice as a fan. I'm a fan of both of those guys. So I would love to hear some music for them, especially music relating to the situation right now. But as a fellow musician myself, you know, I know like they're artists themselves. They had plans for this year and now this thing is happening. And now fans are like, yo, we want this now. And it's like, you know what I mean?
Fair enough.
I think that's unfair. I think you have a whole career full of exactly what's happening right now, or at least addressing the issue and trying to tell an artist trying to tell anyone how they're supposed to approach the situation, I think is wrong. I think you need to do it in your own terms. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Whatever your voice is, I think I don't think you have to say anything, to be honest with you.
Yeah, exactly. You don't. I saw like Punch or TDE, like I saw Elliot Wilson reposted it and he was like, y'all niggas see K-Dot outside yesterday. Basically just like, that's the label manager and basically just saying like, you know, there was such an uproar from the fans, like, why haven't we seen K-Dot? You know, now, you know, y'all had to fucking have him out there, you know, and he's like, you guys happy now? You know, like, got what you wanted, you know, and it's like, you know what I mean? So it's just kind of like, you know, he's probably doing his own thing behind the scene or working on a masterpiece to give us, you know, but here we are like, yo, come out of the studio. We want to see you out protesting with us, you know, like, or, you know, we want to make a statement, you know? So I think
you can't have it both ways, I guess. Can't have them out protesting and dropping music. Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah. So I think, everyone deals with it in their own way, you know?
Yeah. You could say all these things, you know, but if you don't lead by your actions, then it's all just words.
Word.
Facts. Okay.
And into our next topic here. So the NFL apologizing. This is going to have to be our last topic. We're going to have to split this into two separate videos because we've made it to, you know, our cap on this time.
Actually, I got a freaking message from Zoom. It just says, here's a gift. And it said, like, there's no limit to the time. So I don't know what just happened, but for some reason, Zoom blessed us.
I think, yeah. All right, dope.
All right, let's keep going. All right. So NFL apologizing. You got the most information on the story, Pack. So you wanna hit us with this?
Well, let's just look at the timeline, right? Because in 2016, Donald Trump is elected, and right around that time, Kaepernick decides to take a knee during the national anthem and upsets, millions of Americans, mostly white Americans, specifically gun-loving, American flag-loving Americans who also happen to watch the NFL. And there's a whole, I'm not going to go into the whole story because it's really so much, but essentially he was removed from the NFL and there was accusations of him being blackballed by the owners because they didn't want him in there. Right. And, I think it was just a huge controversy. Other black players started kneeling as well. This created some friction between some of the white players and the black players, because some of the white players said, you're disrespecting the national anthem, you're disrespecting the military. It was a lot of military members who were upset. And ultimately Donald Trump was tweeting about it too at the time, saying, the owners got to figure their shit out. There were so many ramifications of him kneeling from all ends of the earth. Papa John pizza, Papa John allegedly said in the conference call that, Kaepernick kneeling is causing his pizza sales to suffer. And he got removed as the CEO of Papa John's. It went everywhere. There was really, and then, the Nike campaign, with Nike saying, sacrifice everything, believe in something, even if it means sacrificing everything. Right. So ultimately Kaepernick settled a deal, which we don't know what it was with the NFL. He settled some sort of deal. He probably got a payout because he was going to sue the NFL for blackballing him. And I'm sure the owners, legally, they just had to, settle it. So they settled it. And then there was obviously the whole tryout situation where he was supposed to try out and come back into the NFL. And it seemed like he didn't want to actually play because he switched up the tryout at the last minute. And a lot of people are upset with Kaepernick about that, personally saying that he doesn't want to play in the NFL. He just used it for a showy moment. But it all came to a big head today, where the NFL said we are sorry, we messed up, we should have stood with our black players, and essentially vindicated Kaepernick and showed him in the right this whole time. Because really this entire time there were questions about, again, from very biased groups, asking why is he doing this, why does he have to do this, and him removing. And now the NFL's official statement, literally the commissioner of the NFL, essentially in his house, just saying, hey, we, the NFL, were wrong. We should have stood by our black players. We support, the removal of racism from systematic culture, whatever. I'm not going to get into it all, but it's and it was shocking because, again, 4 years ago, you could have never imagined the NFL saying a statement like saying we were wrong and Kaepernick was right. You know what I mean? And that's insane. And for all the people that stood by him, the abuse he took, the hate he took, it's pretty crazy. And ultimately, do I think Kaepernick is a good NFL player? No, I think he should have been removed from the league due to him not being a good player, not because of this whole thing, but it just shows he was right, and the movement that he was fighting for was the right movement. It was right for him to do it. And I think it highlights something too, because Drew Brees, who is a quarterback for the New Orleans Saints, recently said in an interview, saying that he doesn't respect anyone who would disrespect the American flag. He doesn't respect anyone who would disrespect the American flag or disrespect the military, because when he looks at the flag, he thinks of his grandfathers who served in World War II at the Battle of Okinawa. So that's against Japan. And he got a lot of flack for that statement.
Yeah,
all his black teammates, man, were saying, how could you say that? How you're friends with us, you're on the team with us. Bro, I'm telling you right now, next season, if there is a season because of COVID, his whole line is black, bro. They're just straight up. They're going to give him the ball. They're going to walk away and let the other team sack the shit out of them. That's what's going to happen, because they're pissed. They're all like, how could you say that? And again, it really comes back to ultimately this. The flag and the national anthem is something that should not be disrespected. But do I feel that Kaepernick was disrespecting the anthem or disrespecting the flag or disrespecting America? No, he was disrespecting the system that had failed him as a black American. The fact that when he looks at the flag and he thinks of America, he doesn't think of the same America that Drew Brees thinks of, right? The America that has provided him and his grandfather all these great opportunities. Again, lots of black players were saying about, hey, look, there were black people that served in World War II as well. But when they got back to America, they didn't face the same opportunities that white Americans that had served and did just the same amount did, right? And all this stuff. So, it's a really complex issue, but that's it. And yeah, and again, the NFL completely apologized and pretty much just showed that Kaepernick was in the right the whole time. Will Kaepernick ever play football again in the NFL? I don't think so. I don't think he'll come back. But it showed that he was right, and that's honestly shocking.
Who's the player you were just talking about, though, that said a statement?
Drew Brees. He is one of the most loved quarterbacks in the NFL. He's one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL.
He's awesome.
He supported like people all across the community during Hurricane Katrina. He supported just the community. He's been known as this philanthropist. Like his views are like, it's the 4 F's or something like that. It's freedom, philanthropy. That's more of a PH. Then there's like, it's freedom. I honestly don't even know what the other ones are, but yeah, he's just very much like God and country. He's kind of that sort of type of guy. And, just that was a complete misstatement. He obviously had to come out and apologize on Instagram for his words, but I don't know what that locker room's going to be like. Like, how do you, as a player saying that, come into the locker room, and look at your black teammates, knowing that you kind of disrespected their movement, you disrespected everything. You can't just come off and say, "Oh, I didn't know," or "I just, I meant this." Like, they're not going to feel great about you.
This comes back to what we're saying right now, man. Like right now, it just seems like everyone has to say something. This movement is so big that everyone who's anyone has to say something. And if you say the wrong thing, you're going to get crucified. In his defense, it didn't even seem like. I'm not even going to be in his defense, he wasn't, in his mind, he was like, oh, Kaepernick was disrespecting the flag because that's what he saw it as. And then again, in his, when he come back and said, apologize, it was basically, just saying, oh, he didn't understand how, his black friends were seeing it. Obviously it's a different perspective. These days, I feel like a lot of people apologize when they start catching fire, but bringing it back to the topic here, the NFL apologizing. Like we were just saying with, trying to get Kendrick Lamar and J. Cole to do a verse right now. It just feels like this movement is so big, everyone has to say something. And, so the NFL had to say something, They
had to.
Exactly. And this is the correct thing to say. If you don't want to catch fire like that, dude, this is the correct thing to say. What I'm saying is like, is this real? Is this real? Or is this just the fucking white dude in charge of the NFL being like, yo, they're going to come after my empire if I don't say something,
I think it's both. I mean, a lot of people are criticizing the NFL being like, look how you treated this guy. Here's the thing, man. Hockey's going through something similar right now too, in a very minor way. But you have to understand that a lot of sports were white. Completely white, right? And then once they stopped segregation and they started allowing black players in, slowly but surely, in certain sports, not all of them, but in certain sports, black players started excelling. The NBA, for example, the NFL as well. And they've sort of become like the majority. Like if you watch NFL on Sunday, there are usually, I don't even think usually is the right way. I'm pretty much every time there are more black people on the field than there are white people.
Yeah, I saw the news was just saying it's there's the NFL is 3/4 black.
Yeah, and there are a lot of reasons for that. Again, like, athletic ability is definitely part of it, but I think, and this goes into sort of socioeconomics, but the reality is like there are sports like soccer, football, and basketball where you need minimal equipment to play, and almost anyone can just pick it up and play, if that makes sense. So for football, for basketball, for soccer, you need a ball. That's what you need to be able to play. You need a ball, some grass, and you need to be the ability to be able to run. So it's a sport that's able to appeal to sort of these communities where they might not have a lot of money for equipment and things like that. And, there's also been kind of people talking about like, well, because again, like the NFL, there's a lot of concussions right now happening. There's, discussion around sort of the brain trauma and the amount of physical damage that these players take. And there's been a lot of discussion around like white families putting their sons and daughters into sports that they're going to really receive less physical trauma, but sports that also cost more money. Sports like golf, sports like, hockey. Hockey is another prime example of essentially part of the reason why hockey isn't as popular as those other sports. Yes, partly because it is a northern sport, like you need ice to play it, but it's also the physical cost or the financial cost of the equipment. To put a child at 5 or 6 years old into hockey costs about $2,000 to $3,000. Most parents do not have the money for that. Then you got to buy that kid skates. He's going to grow out of the equipment. So you pretty much have to be spending every year between $2,000 to $3,000 just to keep that kid in that sport. That is a lot of money to pay. A lot of families can't afford that. And I think potentially that's part of the reason why hockey is still so white is because it essentially lends itself to communities that can afford to play the sport.
It's a lot of equipment, yeah.
It's a lot of equipment, it's a lot of money. But as Canada specifically becomes more, diverse, as Black people in Canada start to move upwards socioeconomically, you are seeing Black players in the NHL more frequently. Like before, it would literally be maybe one Black dude in the entire NHL, maybe 2 or 3. Now you're seeing more of them because they're seeing the sport, they like it, their parents have the money to put them in, and now hockey's essentially having its reconciliation with racism in the sport, leading to today, Evander Kane, a Black hockey player, announced the formation of the Hockey Diversity Alliance with other Black players in the NHL, an alliance that is going to essentially address racism in hockey, focus on providing equipment and things like that to lower income Black communities, and trying to educate other players on racism in general. Aline, I can't even pronounce his name. It's like Alim Akum or something like that. Is a Black player who recently, he had a big article, I think it was in the New York Times or the Wall Street Journal, about the racism that he received. He got coaches fired because of the things that he spoke out about. And again, this guy isn't top of the line best player. He played a few NHL games for the Calgary Flames here, maybe like 1, 2, or 3, and then got kicked around. But a lot of the things he spoke about were very real things that I faced as well. Like when I played hockey as a child, again, my mom was Latina, and when she came in, everything changed. When she came into the locker room, I immediately was no longer Paxton. I was Paxton the Mexican, Paxton the Spick, Paxton the Beaner, because I'm no longer white. People thought I was white until they saw my Latin mom. You know what I mean? And there is a very real racism issue in hockey. Am I ever going to get called monkey from the stands? No. But PK Subban did. And he's a Black Canadian player, probably one of the best defensemen around right now. He's had that happen to him in arenas. And it's something that needs to be addressed. It's something that, again, as hockey becomes more diverse. And so hopefully I'm hopeful that hockey will have a better road to diversity than the NFL did, if that makes any sense. Sorry, I've been going on about this too long.
That's fair. You kind of definitely did go off there with the NHL thing, but now we do have some information about the NHL dealing with this, and I'm glad to hear about this new division in the NHL that's going to be addressing racism. That's dope. As far as the NFL, do you think that the apology, from I don't know what his title is, the president? Do you think that apology was genuine, or is it just them trying to appease, the masses?
I don't
right
think
now?
it is.
I don't think it's genuine at all. I think if they didn't have to do it, they wouldn't have done it. I think it hurts them in their white souls to have to do that. I think there's a lot of owners. I think there's a lot of owners that are pissed that didn't want to do it. Specifically, like there's that one owner for the Houston Texans who made a comment comparing his players to prisoners. He said, "You don't let the prisoners run the jail." That was such a tone deaf comment, man, because obviously there's a big incarceration issue. So the fact that he even said that, that's like very telling of his stance. There are some owners who are definitely more liberal and they're okay with what happened. But I think there's a lot that aren't. They're just hiding it though.
Yeah, I don't know, because the NFL definitely didn't stand with Kaepernick, when it was going on. And, even Trump had said like, yo, these guys are disrespecting the flag, Trump was one who's like, yo, you guys need to get this thing in order. It's a known fact that a lot of there are no fucking Black NFL, team owners, it's all these guys are white, and these guys, do fucking support Trump's campaign, they're supporters. This is known information. So I don't know, that correlation just comes back to, for me, I saw it on the news and I'm like, yo, this is not a genuine apology. I'm looking at this, you know what I mean? Like this doesn't seem real. Like this just seems like they're doing it, to appease the masses. At the end of the day, they know that 3/4 of their players are Black, and right now a lot of them are out on the pro. I'm seeing a lot of the like major sports players out wearing masks and shit, out protesting. So they know that, right now NFL isn't going on right now. So, like you have to, appease these guys, because like once everything is back, you expect everyone to come back to work. But if you've pissed everyone off over this period, these guys aren't going to come back. You know what I mean? Like, so yeah, I don't know. What do you think about this, Soy?
There's certain aspects of things of what's happening right now that I don't necessarily like, and I think is it's like slightly a negative. And it's not saying that I agree with any of like what Drew Brees said I didn't agree with, but I think where he was coming from is very sincere, and I also think Drew Brees as a man is a good person. I think he's a really he's just a good guy, like, and that's how he was raised. And I think some of this like when we're saying like the NFL sounds insincere, probably because they are, and it's that pressure from the people that's forcing people to essentially like pick a side. And I think instead of telling people, you know, you're wrong, you're racist, whatever, it's better to, and he should have been aware of the information, to be fair. It's kind of insane that he wasn't aware of the information at hand, but it's possible. And there's a separation between, how do I put this? Between having like a legitimate opinion, which can be changed if you have more information, right? Instead of saying, hey, you fucking idiot, like, what are you doing? Like all this hate, just like try to teach someone. You know, I think that's a better approach. I'm not necessarily down with this whole, like just like battering people for, they might feel something differently, because people do see things differently. It's like, if you're not going to see from someone else's perspective and you're just going to tell them like you're wrong, instead of being like, oh, let me present like these ideas to you and let me show you why Colin Kaepernick kneeled. You know what I mean? Instead of labeling people as something. And it's like, people were saying like horrible things about Drew Brees, and like you brought up Paxton, where he said, where he's like very pro God. He's very
philanthropy.
Yeah, he's just a great dude. So just to kind of barrage him with hate, I think is not a good.
It's a sensitive time right now. Exactly. It's a sensitive
slow. Yeah. And I mean, cancel culture is so like weird, man. And I just feel like, again, like hopefully his teammates, you know, they'll be upset, but hopefully he can talk to them. They can all talk it out in the locker room and kind of figure it out and say, because ultimately, again, like I understand, you know, people who have had family members that have served in the military, have served, you know, and they understand, you know, national pride and respect on a different level. But at the same time, you just have to understand that there are certain people in this country that don't receive the same level of treatment and don't look at the flag the same way. And it's upsetting. And if anything, you should fight for them to be able to look at the flag the same way.
100%.
True. Yeah. So in conclusion, it seems like we all generally agree, you know, like that apology wasn't genuine. What do you think the NFL is going to do to further, you know, because it's not going to end there. You know, we're not just going to, they said he apologized. Do you think they're going to do something for Kaepernick? Do you think, you know, any changes going to be made?
So they announced a partnership with Jay-Z looking at diversity and inclusion in the NFL. So I think that was a while ago. That was before all this, but I think Jay-Z's going to be leading sort of the relations on that side. I think he's definitely going to have some influence. I think, if I'm not mistaken, I don't think there's a single black owner in the NFL. I don't think a single black person owns a team in the NFL. I think it's been Jay-Z's dream to buy a franchise. Same thing with P. Diddy. I know they've wanted, and so I think this is sort of like a starting point of them trying to like be let in on that management upper level where it's predominantly like a closed circle of these guys. So that's what I think is going to happen.
So, so hopefully we'll see how this advances. So that concludes our global news. So you want to take us away with the national?
Hell yeah. All right. National. Where are my notes? national. So we're going to start off with The Weeknd calling out all labels, where he basically was like, hey, you guys have been feeding off black culture and black music, so you guys got to step up and do something about it. And you're seeing I think someone actually one label donated like $100 million or something.
Yeah, I think it was Warner.
Yeah.
Warner donated $100 million or announced they're going to do it $100 million.
Yeah. So it's, to me, I think, I mean, you're seeing guys, certain artists push that. And I think it's awesome, man. I think a big thing is like, money is very valuable.
Of course.
Especially for economic power, especially for these poor communities. Just poor communities in general, you know, and I'm hoping that it kind of goes toward that type of type of route where more money is put into these communities. I'm not sure where the money's going.
I think it's going to like charities that are, you know, charities that have been either set up to deal with COVID or, you know, just companies that are, you know, they're already dealing with COVID in some way. You know, there's like these outreach that are going to give like, you know, clothes and meals to like homeless, you know, during this time that they can't be outside, you know. So stuff like that, you know, obviously it's making a good decision where to put the money. Obviously, if you're going to donate, The Weeknd himself donated $500,000, you know, so obviously you didn't just give that money to anyone, you have to know that money is going to be used properly. Mm-hmm. So in his post, I'm just going to read the post here. To my fellow respected industry partners and execs, no one profits off Black music more than the labels and streaming services. I gave yesterday and I urge you to go big and public with yours this week. It would mean the world to me and the community if you can join us on this. And I saw that Russ, he's also in the comments here, and he also retweeted something about that as well. Like, you know, these labels have to give up money. So in the post, Universal Music Group, Sony Music, Warner Music, Spotify, and Apple Music are also all called out in this. And so we saw, like, after this, Warner has said they're going to give $100 million, donate $100 million to charity. So do we think that's going to be a trend? Do you think these other labels are going to come out and start giving out money, or what?
Potentially, but I think, again, like, donations and money is one thing, but I think changing systematic structure is another important thing. And I'd like to shout out Republic Records, because they came out and they said that they're going to remove the term urban from all their music categories moving forward. That's something that Tyler, the Creator, has talked about, where, you know, and Kanye has talked about that, where it's like, you're an urban artist, you're an urban designer, you tossed into this urban category. Me as an urban planner, I've kind of fought that term as well, because like I went to university for urban studies. If I said that I've said that out loud, and sometimes people look at me and go like, wait, what did you study? Like, who did you study? You know what I mean? It's like, no. I studied the city. So the term urban has this very weird like connotation. It can mean different things in different settings. But again, as it pertains to, you know, Black artists, it's kind of a way to just throw them in this weird like subcategory and maybe exclude them from like the major awards or things like that, or just to put them on a different chart or their own list. So I think that's important. I think, yeah, just getting rid of that. And so that's a good move by them. And I hope other labels potentially could do things like that in the future.
I hope so. I think this relates back to even our last topic of the NFL, you know, just, is this real? You know, because we know a lot of these like music company, like I know Sony is like an Asian company, but like Universal and like Warner, you know, it's probably some Jewish guy on top of it. You know, I don't know specifically, but we know that these are not Black people that are, you know, the major execs at these companies that are, you know, benefiting off the Black artists. They are not Black people, you know, at the top. And so at the same time, you know, for me, it's not just about seeing like, oh, we've heard Warner is going to give 100. That's a lot of money, but it's like, we want to see, you know, let's get a statement, you know, you know what I mean? So I don't know. That's for me. I just feel like everyone's making statements now. And so there's people who we expect to make there's people we expect to make statements because their brand or their corporation is so big, like the NFL. But then the question is like, is this genuine? You know, obviously the NFL apologizing to many obviously isn't genuine. That's why I was asking, like, so what are they going to do to, because we're not just going to be like, all right, sorry, Kaepernick, for blackballing you all those years. I hope we're good now. Like, they have to, they have to go they can't just apologize. You have to go one step further, and so I think it's vice versa with just giving money. Warner giving $100 million is a lot of money, but it's like, we want to see you guys do something. Want to see you guys say something. We want to see something attached to that. It seems, because it's now like, it seems like same thing. These guys are if all these guys give $100 million, it seems like they're only doing it because they got called out. For me, I would want to know that it's genuine. So if you're gonna give $100 million, give $100 million, and do something, whether it's in whatever form. To let the people know, the masses know, the community know that this is a true support, and not just, not just a, I got to get the protesters off my back. So yeah, that's where I'm at with that. But I do like that. I do like that. The Weeknd did this. It's definitely a bold thing to do, calling out everyone in the label. He's definitely a big enough artist to make a move like that. And I do like what Republic is doing as well. That's a beautiful thing. I saw, like, we have YYC Awards here in Calgary, and for the longest time, and it's still going on, like, we don't have a hip hop category. We have like country, we have all this other unnecessary stuff, like, but for
country unnecessary.
But for urban, for hip hop, it's just urban, right? And if I wanted to submit something for, to get an award, it would have to be urban, which is where the electronic guys are going to submit their stuff to. Anyone who doesn't have a category is going to put their stuff in urban because they don't, but it's, what I'm saying is we have a category. Hip hop is a real thing, it's not a,
right.
But they still just, it's urban because it's, what I mean? So,
right.
It's a beautiful thing that they've done this, it's definitely in a small way, that is systematic racism. It's like, the music that these guys are making, we're going to give it a name, but everything that you guys are making, we're just going to bunch it up into this one thing. So all of you can fight for this one award, so it's a small thing, but it's a huge step in the right direction, I feel.
1,000%. Yeah, I'm totally with you guys. I agree. I heard that on Joe Budden's podcast where they mentioned that, where they're getting rid of that title urban. And I think that's just, I do think it is just another way to say another racist term. So I think it's awesome.
Yeah.
What was I going to say? Even if they're not sincere, fuck it. They're gonna, like,
like your money is still good. Like,
like that's gonna go to a good cause. So it's like they're hiding behind these fucking label. Like, you don't know these faces. You don't know who these people are.
Right.
So it's just like, man, fuck. Who cares? As long as they're doing the right thing, which that is the right thing.
Yeah, 100 million.
I would like to
felt that shit.
Yeah, I really appreciate if there was, like, I'm sure there's information I can search up, which I'll probably do after this, where I know exactly where that's going, because I'm very interested in everything that's going on right now. But yeah, I think we're all on the same page, essentially. So for the next topic, speaking on the Weeknd, he released an album called After Hours. I think it got like pretty mixed reviews when it came out. How long's it been now? About a month or two?
It's been like maybe like 2 months. It came out like early quarantine.
So we're just revisiting it. And what do you guys think of it? What's it called? After Hours?
After Hours. I really liked it. Top to bottom, like listening to it, like when it came out. Yeah, I really liked it. I thought it was, the Weeknd, he'd refined his sound. As far as like the lyrical themes, what he's doing, it doesn't, he hasn't really changed up what he's doing from even the mixtapes. It's still the same, I'm on drugs, I'm fucking all these bitches, I'm here for it. But we want to see some growth, as an artist. But for the most part, production wise, I think it sounds beautiful. I saw like a review, and the reviewer said that the album is sharp yet blurry, like it's like it just like the mood. I don't know how to. I understood like the production. I understood what he meant by that. Like the production is so modern. Like you can tell all this stuff is from 2020, but like a lot of the songs, like I felt like a lot of the production, I feel like I could hear on the Prince album, you know, like it has that, like that esque, just the way the sounds that were used and whatnot. I feel like there could be growth in The Weeknd as a songwriter, but overall, I like this music. It's definitely it's refreshing production. He's doing the same thing as far as his vocals, but it's refreshing production. And yeah, I think it was a unique body of work. You know, I think it was pretty solid. He did what we expected him to do. Do I think that this is his best project yet? I would not say so. I definitely have some other projects I prefer. But one thing I did want to mention is that the project is different from what was the project to put out before this one? Starboy, right? Yeah. Was that the last album he put out? He put out like My Dear Melancholy, which was like an EP, so we'll count Starboy as the last project. On Starboy, it was really like, you know, the pop crossover, you know, that's, you know what I mean? Like it had all the big, you know, pop tracks type thing. And then a lot of people said he like sold his soul, like he's now a pop artist, which is true. And then with this album, it kind of like saw him revisiting, you know, the themes that got him famous on the mixtape, you know, like, you know, the drugs, the sex, you know, the partying, all that stuff. And so I feel like this album was refreshing because, you know, from the jump we'd gotten, you know, same old weekend. And then Starboy, we kind of got like super commercialized mainstream Weekend. You know, a lot of the, you know, mixtape fans are like, I don't know if I'm here for this. And then he hit us with this again, and this is a lot closer to his roots. So I think that's what makes this unique overall. Like this is it's a good project. I wouldn't say it's his best project, but I think it sat well with the fans because it's what the core fans, you know, have known him for from the jump. I saw that this moved over 400K units in the first week. Crazy. And it's still on the Billboard 200s, you know, so it's still moving units every week since its drop, you know. Yeah, you know, that's great numbers. You know, I don't know, compared to people aren't breaking 100,000 these days, you know, so that's really great, you know. And again, this just that we spoke on the Weeknd, calling out like everyone in the music industry, you know, he's an artist that's big enough to do it, you know. Yeah, so I really did like this album. The first single he dropped from the album was Heartless, and Heartless is produced by Metro Boomin, and it's basically just him reiterating that, yo, I'm back to my old ways now. I'm gonna be fucking these bitches. I'm heartless. You know, he wasn't on Instagram for the longest time. Like he was on a hiatus, and he came back, you know, with a couple weeks in advance to start promoting the album. And he dropped Heartless, and that song shot to #1 on the Billboard like Hot 100. You know, and I feel like me witnessing that, like that's a test. You know, so that speaks to the Weeknd's, you know, superstar. You know, the fact this guy wasn't around for the longest time, you know, he wasn't posting, wasn't on Instagram, he wasn't, you know, like, it was like, where's the Weeknd? He didn't drop, and he just came out of nowhere with a single and, you know, went straight to #1. You know, that just shows, you know, how active his fan base is, the support of his label, like, just shows you like his place in the industry. So I'm kind of drifting off, but in conclusion, I really like the After Hours album. I don't have it in front of me right now, but I think Scared to Love is a track on there. I like Heartless. There's one where the beat switches up and he's like, we had sex in the studio.
Oh, Escape LA?
Yeah, exactly. That shit is fire, man.
Dude.
And then she fucking popped that pussy for me. You know, I'm just like,
these
yo,
are lyrics. He wrote that down. He's like, this is a fact. She did, in fact, pop that pussy.
So, you know, I'm here for that shit, you know. A lot of those vibes, you know, and it's dope that he blends, you know. My sister fucks with The Weeknd too, you know, so, and it's dope that he's able to make that, sit on that fine line of music that the girls are going to be able to listen to and really love. And, you know, the guys are listening to it and be like, yeah, you talking that shit, you know. So I think, yeah, it was a really good album, you know. It's, as far as the themes, it's stuff that we've already heard from The Weeknd before, so that's the only critique I'd give. But I feel like the production was new. I hadn't heard him on beats like this before. And it was refreshing again because, you know, he had just come off a completely pop album, you know. So this was like, all right, he's got something for us here. So yeah, definitely a dope album. I'm gonna let you guys talk about it and look at the track list while you guys are talking, so I can see what other tracks I fucked with.
So yeah, I'll jump in on this. So The Weeknd, man, The Weeknd is an insanely popular artist right now. He's one of the biggest artists on the planet. And the thing about music and musicians and the top musicians of all time, and I've maintained this pretty much my entire music kind of listening life, is this: if you're going to be a top musician and you're going to be the biggest on top, this is essentially what you have to do to be there and stay there. You have to have an album that has multiple hits that chart very well. And then every album, you have to reinvent your sound while still maintaining the same amount of hits or more, keeping your fan base interested, like the old fan base, and still allowing them to listen to the new music and appreciate it. And you have to appeal to both genders. And The Weeknd's able to do that. And those rules apply to artists like Jay-Z, Michael Jackson, Taylor Swift. These are artists that are able to essentially come out with a new album every time and have at least 4 to 5 tracks on the album that literally hit the charts. And it's just great music. And it's not forced. I'm sure their label's promoting the tracks and the stuff, but they're actually genuinely good tracks. So The Weeknd, he does it again, right? He's got another masterpiece on his hands. And the thing I love about After Hours, personally for me, is the 80s influence. There is such a distinct 80s influence on these tracks. You could totally tell it. One of my favorite tracks on the album, In Your Eyes, it literally has that 80s saxophone that you hear in Careless Whisper, Men at Work. You hear that, and there's a sax solo. Who's putting out a sax solo these days? Almost nobody, right?
Yeah.
But not only that, you've got, and so that's kind of the more softer 80s vibes. Then he comes in with a pop 80s track as well with Blinding Lights. That piano synth, the kind of bells.
Yeah.
It's Aha. It's Take On Me by Aha. It's the same. If you listen to both those, you're like, oh yeah, that's really, exactly where they got it from. It's the exact same stuff. So he's literally taking these 80s influences and bringing them out. I honestly think, and again, After Hours, kind of even the title of it reminds you of something that would be from the 80s, some sort of smooth jazz. It's kind of The Nights Are Low, The City. You want to talk about Heartless. Heartless was my skiing song this winter because it's that bass just comes in pumping and it's aggressive and it gets you going and it's yo, this is a hype track. And he shouts out Metro Boomin and Metro Boomin turned this bitch into a mosh pit. It's just it's a dope track. So he had multiple tracks that were incredible on this. My favorites: Heartless, Blinding Lights, In Your Eyes. I really liked Escape from LA. You guys already talked about that. And then Faith as well was really good.
Yeah,
and Save Your Tears, again, another 80s influence track. It's very interesting the way he's kind of, and I mean, it literally says in the bottom here, glitzy, glamorous, gloriously 80s as it gets. By the way, I want to shout out Max Martin for a minute. Again, another successful album. I don't understand how this guy does it. I mean, think about Max Martin for a minute. Swedish producer in the early 90s decides, okay, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to make music that has the chorus repeat a bunch of times. I'm going to keep the beats as simple as possible. And that's going to appeal to a wide audience of music. Goes on to produce all the music for the Backstreet Boys, Britney Spears, Taylor Swift, Kelly Clarkson, produces music for Beyonce, Katy Perry, The Weeknd, the list goes on. He is now the producer with the most amount of hits of all time, surpassing.
Is he a producer?
He's a producer. Max Martin is a producer, music producer. He has surpassed. There was one guy who's the producer for the Beatles that pretty much produced every single one of their albums.
George Martin.
He was known as the fifth Beatle. Max Martin has passed him now on that list of number of hits because he literally has produced. Again, Blinding Lights was Max Martin. I Can't Feel My Face was Max Martin as well. And, Shake It Off is Max Martin. It's people he's literally everywhere. You can't escape his musical reach and influence. This guy is the most insane producer of all time. And I knew it as soon as I heard some of these tracks. I was like, is that Max Martin? And then I Googled and I was like, yeah, that is, because you just know it's him. He's got this, he literally has the golden ears. He's got the Midas ears, man. Anything he listens to, any sounds he uses, he's guaranteed pretty much to get your album to a number 1, number 2, number 3 spot. as long as you're willing to put in the effort and you're a good artist, right? So yeah, man, I think this was incredible. I actually listened to the deluxe version. So Nothing Compares. I really like that too. And Final Lullaby. But I also want to take a minute for, I think it was In Your Eyes got a remix with Doja Cat. And I actually listened to that Doja Cat remix. Doja Cat, obviously very popular right now. That was actually pretty cool. She did her thing on that, and it definitely gave a new spin to that. And also, obviously the Blinding Lights challenge. I think I just have to talk on that quickly. I feel like that, again, just that 80s synth and the way that beat came in, it just kind of sparked a viral TikTok challenge, right? And all these people were coming in doing I did the Blinding Lights challenge. I don't know if you guys saw my video where I like run down to play the drums really quick, and then I obviously play that track on the drums. Yeah, man, I just feel like this album was definitely another banger from the weekend. I actually kind of see it on the opposite side. Like Shosho, you said Starboy was very like poppy and stuff. It was, but it's like Daft Punk came in and produced that album with him, right? And you could hear that on Starboy. Like when he says, "Oh, motherfucker, Starboy," like that's Daft Punk's like synth and vibes. And I think this was a complete switch up from that. Kind of going again more into that 80s kind of melancholy style. I really liked it. I really like this album. It's really good. And yeah, I think he knocked it out of the park again.
Word. This is what I meant by like it's blurry but it's sharp. Is that it sounds like an 80s album. Like that's what I meant. Like it sounds like this could have come out alongside like Thriller came out in the 80s, Prince's Purple Rain came out in the 80s. These beats sound like that, but this is a 2020 recording. Like it still sounds like if it came out in the 80s, you would be like, yo, this guy recorded this shit in the future.
Yeah, for sure.
It sounds like that. The sound, like he went there to go get their synthesizers and stuff, but it's produced so well. So that's what the writer was saying. It's blurry, but at the same time sharp. Like when I listen to it, I'm in that. I feel like I'm in the 80s. It's taking me back, but it's such high quality recordings. So yeah, and I feel like I do go back to Starboy. With that being said, I even like the title track Starboy. I Feel It Coming with Daft Punk. There's a lot of songs I go back to off there. But overall, that album is definitely like, it was definitely the commercial album. It was definitely put out as the album that was going to like expand his fan base. And I think after that album, like The Weeknd is, the biggest superstar. That album is what propelled The Weeknd to the superstar he is now, I believe. You don't think so?
I would disagree. I think I think it was the album before Starboy, the one that had I Can't Feel My Face on it. That's the one that did it. That's the one that earned him like a Teen Choice Award for literally a song about blowing cocaine, like, and not being able to feel your face. Like, I mean, he had quite a few singles on that album, but I definitely feel like I Can't Feel Your Face was the thing that propelled him, like from, seeing him at the Jubilee to seeing him at the Saddle Dome. Calgary.
Word. I feel you. Yeah. You know what? I would agree with you. That's definitely that. I feel like that's when it started taking off, but definitely for the masses, if you ask a lot of people who aren't like hip hop heads, when did you discover The Weeknd? It would be Starboy. Like who is, you know what I mean? Like that song, I think Earned It. Like that Earned It was also on the album was called like My Beautiful Madness or whatever. And I think, like there are songs like Earned It was in the 50 Shades movie. I Can't Feel My Face was a popular song as well. I think he had, what else?
It was a smash hit, man.
The Hills. There were hits off there, but I don't know if the album, like we know those singles, but I don't know if we know the album as much as, people went to like Starboy is the album when I think about it for me, I've been following him since the mixtapes,
Me too. Yeah, for sure.
I don't really know the perception, but I feel like everyone else caught wind of The Weeknd, once he dropped the album. That's why he was able to like go away for so long, and be like, all right.
Fair enough, I guess. I think like for me, like again, like The Weeknd, when he was in that mixtape era, he played the Jubilee, which is in, for those listening, it's in Northern Calgary. And yeah, when he dropped I Can't Feel My Face and he had that album, he played the Saddle Dome and Travis Scott opened for him. You know what I mean? So it's like,
oh really? I didn't even know that, man.
Yeah, he did. Yeah, and I went to go see him there too. So I just feel like there was such a difference of like watching this guy, perform a literal like concert hall to like selling out Calgary's version of an arena, right? Which seats, I think the Dome is like what, 17,000 people. It's not even
20,000.
it's a very small arena, but still an arena. And obviously, he was touring, so he was hitting way larger places than that. But I think, and that's another crazy thing too. A little anecdote was, Travis Scott opened up for him. Nobody was rocking with him at that time. Again, like very minimal people. It was just such a weird environment for Travis because I feel like he's a mosh pit guy, and everyone was just seated. And now I feel like if he did play the Dome, people would fucking go nuts. But anyways.
Yeah, I didn't know that, so maybe you're right about that then. Definitely probably started taking off with that album. With that being said, though, I do feel like even those two albums, we can put them together. I still feel like those two albums were more like, the commercial, The Weeknd is now, I feel like that my Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy is like, The Weeknd is now a label artist, expect this from him. And Starboy is him saying, yo, expect this from me. I remember he even released a statement saying like, yo, I'm trying to make pop music cool again, I came in as an R&B artist, but I'm trying to make, Michael Jackson was a pop guy. So that's what he said he was doing. But I felt like with this album, it was more like, he was just more trying to be a vocalist. And that's why, it has like the Metro Boom, it has the trap sound, it has the 80s sounds, it still has like the elements of older projects. So yeah, we've kind of gone back and forth about this. How do you feel about the project, Soy?
I like it. I'm not as big a fan of The Weeknd as you guys. I really like his music. It's not something I'm gonna like. I didn't follow him until I think I heard the first song I heard was like, King of the Fall or something like that, because of the video. But I was excited for this release. I did not like Heartless when it came out. I still don't really like it, to be honest. But I heard Blinding Lights, and I was like, oh shit. And then After Hours came out. I know, dude. Fuck it. I don't care. And then Blinding Lights came out, and I was like, oh, this is fire. And then After Hours came out, and when the beat switched, I was like, oh, this is amazing.
Oh, yeah. That's one of the tracks I forgot to mention. After Hours is a heated track.
Amazing.
He dropped that before the album came out.
Yeah.
And I had like every song he dropped before the album came out, I was fucking with. I admit as well, like when I first heard Heartless, it wasn't sitting right with me. I just felt like, I don't know. It just was like, nah, I hope the whole album doesn't sound like this.
Yeah, I was really nervous when that came out. But when After Hours came out, it kind of put a little ease on me.
Yeah.
My favorite
Every other song I heard I enjoyed.
Yeah. My favorite songs, one of my favorite songs is Repeat After Me.
Lord.
That's giving me I'm a toxic man. I'm not good at these relationships. And to hear that is hilarious. I was walking home from the mall and I was just laughing. It was just like, cause I was listening to it and what he was saying is like, when you're with him, you think of me. And I'm just like, oh my God. And for the most part, I really like it. When I first heard this, I was pretty captured by it. It's 14 songs. It's a really easy listen, I think. Is it my favorite? No, it's not. I think my favorite is still, I actually really like Starboy. But I have really good memories associated with that album as well. So it's hard for me not to like it because it just reminds me of a certain time in my life. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I'm not gonna lie to you. I'm not returning to this album too often. I do think that the sound of it is actually going to be very influential for music going forward. I do think it's actually really different. I know there's like an 80s feel to it, but I do think it does have like, to me, it sounds new. You know what I mean? Like they're crossing genres. And so I do think it's going to be influential in the music industry because it was really successful as well. Like it's still doing numbers and fucking Blinding Lights that's got to be one of the biggest songs this year.
The Weeknd's like albums are always like so well produced. Like, and if you look at the album track list, there's always like at least 5 producers per song. Like, so it's like, that beat is not done until multiple perfectionists have touched it, and I feel like I can hear that when I listen, like all these little nuances in the beat.
By the way, just quickly, how do we feel about people rehashing old sounds like from the past? Like, do we feel like that's all right, or you feel like it's more like you should be creating new sounds and new waves? You know what I mean? Like, I love the '80s influence, but I'm like, a small part of me is like, you know what? Like, anybody could have done that in a sense. You know what I mean? Because it's already been written, it's existed.
Yeah, you're right.
Make something brand new. Like, I don't know.
At the end of the day, that was my one critique. Like I said, well, my critique was not that. My critique was The Weeknd is not advancing as a writer. You know, he's writing about the same stuff, you know, just in different ways, you know. But same thing, you know, with the beat selection, you know, we didn't see any innovation in the beats, right? It was just, you know, no one is touching 80s beats right now. So it's like, all right, let's bring that back. So it looks like right now we're like, oh, he's the only one rapping on those kind of beats right now, you know? So it's still a unique play, man. At the end of the day, like when I think of hip hop, it is just about, you know, in the early days, it was sampling, you know, the music that the soul guys, you know, the black people who had record deals made, you know? So it was like, when I think of hip hop, in the essence of hip hop, it is borrowing, you know, from the previous creators to make something new, you know, to make something new or better, you know. And I feel in a sense that's what the Weeknd did here, you know. We listened to this. I definitely, the whole time I was listening to the project, definitely made me think of Prince. I listened to a lot of Prince albums, and it definitely made me think of Prince and just the 80s in general. And I felt like that was the inspiration that he had. You know, so to answer your question, should people be taking from the past, or should people be innovating? At the end of the day, man, even taking from the past is an innovation, because like at the end of the day, if the entire game this year was all trap beats, and then The Weeknd drops this 80s influenced album, you know that might influence the next guy that was gonna drop a trap album to be like, all right, let me fuck with some of these type of beats, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And, you know, he might do some trap 80s influence thing, and that's going to be the innovation, you know? So I feel like it all comes full circle, you know, like you were just saying. So I do believe, like, you know, even though like we heard like this, the blueprint for the production definitely came for the 80s, because someone is going to hear this album in 2020 and is not going to be listening to any albums from the 80s, they're going to be influenced by this, right? And it's going to influence what they're making moving forward. It's how I feel.
All right. We actually are going pretty long right now. Do you guys want to, because protests in Canada and Trump supporter at Calgary peaceful protests are kind of, let's just mix those two together. So, first of all, I think the protests in Canada, I think it's just showing support for the whole movement. It's not really I can't really say that it's like to me, from my perception, I definitely, like, I grew up, I guess I lived in a bubble, right? So it's hard for me to gauge other people's perspectives. Like there might be a lot of issues in these cities. I know there is with Native Americans, 100%. I see that all the time. But what do you guys think about this? Like, about protesting in Canada? Like, do you think it's unnecessary? Do you think it's...
I think it's necessary, man. I don't know. Well, for me, I've not been to any of the protests, primarily because of COVID-19. And I'm not saying that the people that are going are doing the wrong thing. You know, I'm saying that everyone is, you know, properly wearing the right equipment and whatnot. But it's just coming down to like how you're going to voice it, right? We talked about this again with the J. Coles and whatnot, you know? We can't just expect, you know, just because this is going on right now, like, yo, why aren't you outside protesting, you know? And it's like, you know, but at the end of the day, like, the protesters are standing for something. And the truth is, even those that aren't outside protesting with them, you know, we're seeing change, you know, where, you know what I mean? We're seeing people are making statements, you know? So I think the protesting is necessary, because at the same time, like the Derek Chauvin, his trial just started today, right? And had the protesting just been going on in America or in just Minneapolis, you know, it probably wouldn't be as impactful. You know, it probably won't. Mm-hmm. I feel like the jury knows that, yo, we got to make the right decision. The world is watching, you know, like it's not just in Minneapolis, the whole of America, the whole of the people in Germany and Russia, you know, like we're in Canada protesting because, and the world, and, you know, the US knows, like, yo, everyone in the world is seeing what's going on here, you know? And so to answer your question, I think it's important that we're protesting here just to show the US that we stand with them, right? Because the decision this jury makes is really, you know how like in in American law or just in law in general, sometimes when they have a similar case to a case that's happened in the past, right? They reference, or in the case of so versus so, this is how it went down and this is very similar. So in this case, if this guy doesn't get anything but the maximum penalty, moving forward, that's going to be the precedent, right? And so that's why it's so important that anyone who stands with it shows that they stand with it. So we as Canadians are protesting to show the American system as well that, what this guy did is wrong. I feel like it would be one thing if just Minneapolis was protesting. It'd be one thing if just America was protesting, but the whole world is protesting. So that lets, I don't know, man, I don't know what that Derek Chauvin guy is going through his head right now. Like, I don't know what he's thinking about, but
he better not kill himself.
Probably some racist shit.
I hope in his mind, because the fact that that thing happened and they said those guys just resigned, they took their badges and they went home. It probably just went home and had dinner. It was just a normal night for him. So in my mind, I'm just like, if I wonder if what's going on in the world right now has, affected the chemistry in his brain. And it's like, yo, this shit I did is super fucked up. Like, yo, you know what I mean? Like,
probably not.
I would like to think so. Again, because if this was just the people in Minneapolis protesting, like, yo, we saw you kill that guy, and it's just this isolated thing happening in that place, like, then no, it wouldn't be. I would imagine, he wouldn't feel anything about it. But yo, the whole world knows this guy's name. Everyone knows.
He's been doing this for 20 years, right? So he's been this way for. He might have. I don't know. But I get what you're saying. That's a nice thing.
Yeah, the point I'm making is the impact of all of us protesting worldwide. There isn't a single, I feel like that's keeping him up at night. That's that makes me happy.
Yeah. What do you think, Paxton?
Yeah, I mean, I just feel like they need to monitor him to make sure he doesn't kill himself, because if he does, then that's such a coward's way out. And I feel like, he needs to stand trial. He needs to face the American public and he needs to go to jail. And ultimately, if he's killed in jail, all right. I don't know. I hope they, he was a police officer, so I hope they figure out some kind of. I mean, again, I'm sure, because the prisoners are seeing this shit too, and whatever jail he goes to, the prisoners are going to beat the shit out of him. There's no question, bro. People get beaten up in jail for a lot less than being essentially a national criminal. That's what he is at this point. So I just hope that they keep eyes on him, that he doesn't, kill himself and stuff. Honestly, I have no idea what that guy must be feeling right now. I have no idea what the other officers must be feeling. I mean, I'm sure a lot of, maybe guilt, some shame, some sort of butterflies in the stomach, kind of worried.
I think I saw when the other officers got charged, they were two of them were like, yo, they don't think they should get charged or whatever, they don't feel like they were responsible.
It's a whole thing, bro. It's
a denial on their part. But I hope for at least Derek, I hope he has that conviction. I hope there's not we're going to see him in court. I don't know if it's already started. Whether is he gonna approach and be like, yo, I'm not guilty. I was doing my job. Sometimes we just have to use that much force. Because if he comes with that shit, then we know this shit is not getting through to him. Mm-hmm. But I think that's why we're protesting here. I think that's, I think if you ask anyone why they're protesting is to show that they stand with George Floyd and his family, and to make sure that justice is gotten for him, in the right way. So I think, it is important that we continue to do what we're doing. If you stand with the Black Lives Matter movement, then continue to show support in your own way. For some, it may be protesting. For others, it may be using your voice in a different way, right? So I think, the protesting is relevant, especially here in Canada, just to show that we stand with it. Because, and I definitely have spoken to you about this, I definitely have, in my experience, I've been pulled over a lot of times for speeding, but more times than not, I've been pulled over just for being Black and driving a nice car. I've seen the lights and I'm already pulling over and I'm thinking to myself, I run every check in my head. I have my license and my registration. I know the sticker in the back is good. I'm it can't be any reason for this guy to pull me over. And he's like, yeah, just a random check, and I know it's not random,
That's something I did want to ask you, Shosho. I didn't want to maybe ask directly, but I did want to ask, what were your interactions with the police? Have there ever been any really negative ones? Have there been any positive ones? just ultimately, like, what's your overall feeling about police in Calgary? Because that was something I asked myself. Like, how likely is a situation like the George Floyd situation to happen here in Calgary? Not just in Canada, but here in Calgary. And ultimately, I came to the conclusion that I'm 85% certain that it wouldn't happen here, but I'm 15% sure that it could happen here. And that 15% of me is kind of upset about it, right? It's like understanding that there could be a bad police officer in Calgary that could do something like that, or that wouldn't see how bad he is or something like that. And so ultimately I'm like, what can I do to help, right? But I would like to know, kind of your experience. Like, if you could touch more on that.
I mean, that's really my experience is usually, with cops in those situations, and knowing that, like, I used to have like the Volkswagen, with the tan leather inside, I knew it was an older, it was a 2003 car, but it was like a nice looking car. And I knew I'm being profiled, because when I was driving my dad's old minivan, I never got pulled over, even when I was fucking flying in that shit. I remember. Like, I never got pulled over.
You put me in danger.
I definitely, I had to switch up my ways. Like, I was doing a lot of reckless stuff when I was driving that. But when I got my first car, it definitely made me more responsible. But even when, and I knew, like, I was always, even when I see cops, I'd be like, all right, I know, like, I'm already doing the limit. I'm going to go 10 lower just so this fucker doesn't give me any trouble, I've been in situations where I'm on Deerfoot, there's fucking everyone next to me is speeding and I'm the one that gets pulled over, so, in that case, I was speeding, but it's like, come on, man. You're like 5 people to pick. But I feel like when I first came to Canada, one thing my parents had said to me is, the same thing, the Trayvon Martin thing was pretty fresh when we had just come in 2009. And one thing my parents said to me was, if you ever have a situation with the police, just obey them, don't try to be resistant. Don't like, what do you want to Don't try to be that person, because, they won't hesitate, because that's all it is. Yeah. Like, if we didn't catch George Floyd on video, all it would be is these 4 guys saying he was resisting arrest. We had to do this, but we all saw that fucking video, and so that's what it will come down to. And so it's something I'm very aware of, whenever I get pulled over, I'm yo, how are you doing today, officer? What do you want, license? I'm so quick to get it. I'm just trying to end it quickly so that you can't say like, oh, did you look at me wrong? That's all it could turn, so I have that in the back of my head. I'm aware of that, I don't live in the US, but I know for a fact, whatever fear I have, being a Calgarian, just, being an immigrant in Calgary, Alberta, someone who was born Black in America has it like 10 times worse,
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, so I feel like, and that's why so many people connect with George Floyd's story,
It's insane how bold these police are, because they're being filmed. Like, they're watching these people film them, and they're still like pulling these kind of acts and things like that.
He had his hands in his pocket, bro.
He just was so casual.
That's like...
He didn't care about any sort of cell phone footage, anything. Because again, like Will Smith said it best, right? It's like racism hasn't changed, it's just being filmed. But I hope that the social media platforms, the filming of this, the sharing of it now, because again, I really do feel like social media and the internet really advanced these sorts of things, because now people all over the world can say, wait a minute, you're experiencing this, I'm experiencing this, we're both experiencing this, and then it amplifies that sort of voice, right? So it's tough, man. But I'm at least glad to hear that you haven't had like a very detrimental experience with police, like where you felt
man. I haven't, never. I would never allow myself to. But I definitely have. I once got pulled over with fucking dude in the car, and we're pulled over going too slow, So it wasn't even that serious. But dude just started arguing with the cop. He was just like, "You don't need to be doing this." I'm just like, "Yo, bro, I'm gonna leave you here." I'm like,
take him.
Yo, all right, so you can take him. I'm gonna keep it moving. Like,
it was like funny. One of those situations too, man. I was driving home from a party and dude was just like, "Oh, you're heading this way? Can you just drop me?" I don't even know dude, so I'm like, "All right, sure." I get pulled over him and he's trying to start shit. I'm being as fucking cordial as I can. Like,
oh my god,
you shouldn't have cop in general. I was told that too, to be honest.
You should never what?
You shouldn't argue with cops in general.
No, yeah, exactly.
I was told that as well.
Yeah, just kind of, I don't know. Yeah, it's fucked up, man. I personally have never had any issues with the police. I've had issues with photo radar. Fuck photo radar. Let me tell you that right now. But the actual police themselves, like, nah, like, and again, and that's something social that, like, you know, me and Soy will never really be able to understand. Like, we're never going to have that fear of, you know, if a police officer pulls me over, like, am I going to die today? Like, am I going to have some sort of, you know, racially biased interaction or something bad like that? I think a story that I got told by, so Dominic and David live with this guy, Andre, who's a photographer in Calgary, and he's half Dominican, half black. And he said that he works the night shift, and he said one time he was walking out of 7-Eleven at like 4:00 in the morning, and, you know, a cop just came up to him and said, "Hey, there's been some robberies in this area, and you matched the description of the robber. Would you mind staying here so that my officer can come here and investigate and see if you are the guy?" And, you know, I think me and Soy would have been like, "Fuck off, dude. I'm going home." Like,
it's 4
no, like, no, it's 4 a.m, dude. I'm literally going home. And he, you know, like you said, Shosho, he's like, "Okay, I got to cooperate. I can't say no to this," because so he said, "Okay, I'll just cooperate." And, you know, and next thing you know, there were 10 cops pulling up to the 7-Eleven. They all rushed out of their vehicles immediately, like, "Is this the guy? Is this him?" And one of the cops, and then obviously, you know, he's there like, "Oh," and the cop, to his credit, stood in and was like, No. We're just trying to see if it is him." And one of the cops in the back is like, "That's not him." And they're all like, "Ah," and then they'll just like leave, right? And but then they question him, like, "Why are you out here this late?" You know, and he's like, "Well, I just got off work." And they're like, "You did? You just got off work?" And you know, he didn't say anything, right? But he's like the 7-Eleven people are working, like, you're working. You know, like, it's shitty. It's shitty. Like, it's shitty that you gotta we're all out here working, even if it's 4 a.m. Like, it's shitty to have to kind of go through those sorts of situations and prove yourself. And I gotta ask you, do you think there's anything that the CPS could do? Like, what do you think, or even just like the citizens in Calgary, aside from like the protests that were happening here and stuff, what do you really think there could be do to address any sort of like issues within the Calgary police service and system?
And police? I don't know, man.
I think in the Calgary police, like the city you live in.
I think, man, it just comes down to a mindset, man. Like, racism is a mindset at the end of the day. Like, it's, you know, a lot of people you don't even notice it sometimes, you know, but a lot of people's like parents, you know, they were raised racist, and then, you know, their kids, and it might not even be them, especially, you know, of course, it might not even be them being directly like, "Oh, that George Floyd guy, that, you know, N-word," they just, you know what I mean? It might not be something like that, but it might just be just in a passing way, you know. It was like, you know, maybe she's like, "Oh, you know, the daughter is like, 'Oh, can I have my friends over tomorrow?" It's like, "Oh, we don't want them at the house, you know, you know what I mean? Something like that, you know what I mean? Like, it's always in the smallest thing, but just like that, doing that over time, it becomes embedded in that child's head. And I'm like, yo, I don't, you know what I mean? Like, you know, I literally had a girl when I was working at the car dealership, you know, she just said to me like, "Yo, I don't date black guys," you know, and I don't know why, like, I had nothing to do. Like, exactly. Like, it wasn't even. Like,
were you asking her out? Were you asking her out? Or
no, bro.
She just looks at you and says that.
Like,
no,
don't
bro.
even try.
No, bro. It wasn't even. Exactly. No, exactly. It wasn't even. But
what do you think? You got some like pedestal pussy out here? Like, what the fuck?
Yeah, no. But honestly, man, at the end of the day, and it's not. And to any white person listening, that is a white privilege thing to say, you know. Like,
100%.
I can't say I don't date white girls. You know how fucking like.
I've had girls tell me they don't date white guys, but they just didn't want me. So I think that was what that was. But
I don't know, man. But I just, when I think about that in general, just in the context of that conversation, I wasn't even trying to hit on her or anything, you know. We're just having, you know, she was the girl at the car dealership. We didn't have a lot of female salespeople. So, you know, we'd always have those kind of conversations about sex and stuff. And it just came up and she was like, "Oh, I'm not gonna, you know, I don't date black guys, you know." And it was like, "I'm not racist, you know, I just, you know, I wouldn't date a black guy." And I'm like, "Well, you saying that is racist, you stupid." Like,
for sure, you know, for sure. I gotta take a moment to shout out my dad for a minute, because he's not the greatest guy, but he was never a racist, and he definitely, like, he obviously married my mom, Latina. He has black friends that came over to watch UFC with us every now and then, and he never, like, you know, and I would ask him questions, certain things about race and things like that, and he was always open to talk about it and be like, "This is the way it is, like, this is what's up," and he never kind of shied away from those topics. You know, we watch a lot of UFC. There's obviously a lot of black fighters in the UFC, and, you know, he just made it clear. It's like, "Look, anyone can get knocked out in this cage. Color doesn't matter." Like, you know, like punches and kicks are flying everywhere. It really doesn't matter. And so, you know, he just, like, I think that's something that I like look back on. I'm like really appreciative that none of my parents like have those views or anything like that, you know. So
I think, yeah, man, like, so that's all I'm saying is racism is a mindset. So it's not even something like, it's not a new set of guidelines you can give the CPS and be like, all right, follow these and, racism is over. No, it's a mindset thing, right? It begins and ends with, I think these protests are good because it's, there's you even now, like I posted something in my story. I saw like Jeff Bezos.
That was a crazy post.
Yeah, he was on, because he on Amazon, like at the top, they've used like their banner to say like Black Lives Matter, just use that space. And he's been getting like all these emails. He said like that's not the first one he's gotten, just saying like, and that one email was from a dude called Dave. He had blacked out the last name. Everyone in the comments was trying to get his last name. And basically the email was like, yo, I'm not buying from Amazon ever again. You posting this Black Lives Matter shit is disrespectful. White America is not going to stand for this. All these like, fucking, you need to fucking, just basically even started, these wordless N-words, just basically saying on, he was like, yo, fuck you in the ass, Jeff Bezos. I'm never buying from you again, and it's just kind of like Jeff Bezos could give a fuck if that one dude him, but like, it just, I just feel like this person is real, this is a real life person, there's this much hate in this person's heart, but this is someone, it's a white guy walking around every day, who's, you wouldn't think to yourself, but that's how real racism, you saw the post, right? That's how real racism is. Like, it's that when I read that post, I'm like, yo, there's so much anger in this guy's heart. Like, he literally was about to order something on Amazon, saw the banner and canceled, I don't want my 1-day shipping anymore. I'm going to fucking go with the next 10-day guy.
Yeah.
Like out of that anger, and it's like,
yeah.
I
think that was I think it was a pretty crazy post by Jeff Bezos as well, just to deliver, be like, yo, like, this is what it is. I'm not a racist, by the way. Like, I am completely against that. I am the richest man in the world. I deadass could buy you if I wanted to. And he's just out here, like, just telling it like it is and exposing customers that apparently, I'm actually curious too how he got those. I assume they were sent to like,
they sent them directly to him. No, like
directly to him.
Nope. Yeah, probably to customer service, and then they'll address like we want it to go to because they addressed it to Bezos as well.
You can email him.
That's what I'm saying. Like, who's out here? Like, you know what I mean, bro? The man has $1 trillion. Like, is he really out here reading customer emails?
No, he probably has like people screening it and then they send it to him. The other one, the one he posted before, he did reply to, and it was same person. It was like, yo, this is disrespectful to me. All lives matter. Blah, blah, blah. I'm not going to be buying from you until you take this shit down. And then he posted his response basically saying that, you obviously don't understand the movement. And so basically the reason why it's Black Lives Matter is because I have a son, and if he was to get arrested tonight and spend the night in police custody, I don't have to worry about him getting choked to death, basically just reiterating that to this person, and just basically saying, he ended it just basically saying like, yo, you're the kind of customer that Amazon doesn't want to have anyways. Like, so yeah, keep your money. But I don't know, all these guys messaging him, like fucking messaging this fucking billionaire saying, yo, I'm not going to buy my fucking iPhone charger from you guy anymore. like he could give a fuck,
Isn't he
it's
like
silly.
Isn't he like a shitty person though?
Is he a shitty person?
Jeff Bezos, I mean, there's definitely some questions about like how Amazon's able to operate, right? And the things that are, within their like service centers. There's reports of people peeing in bottles because they just don't have the time to go to the bathroom. Because literally, if you go to the bathroom, then your time is deducted from your pay. All this kind of crazy shit. So I mean, he's definitely not perfect. And I mean, I think running $1 trillion company, there definitely has to be some sort of bad things you're doing. But at least on this issue, we can all just kind of be like, yep, no, he's not a racist. He's clearly exposing and showing customers that show this level of racism. So
yeah, man. Like I couldn't, when I read that, I just could not believe like this is I guess I know this.
I'd like to say, I think that is a very, very small minority of people that actually are like that.
That he's posted. Yeah, no, I know. I get what you're saying.
I don't think we should try to group people. I think those are specific. Like, I don't know. I don't like the whole mentality of doing.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I feel you, man. And again, Dave is not all white people, Yeah. Dave in his message, he was like, yo, white America is not going to stand for this. Dave does not speak for all the white America.
Yeah, he's like,
so, but this came up because, it's just, well, where do I stand? Where do we stand with what people can be doing as far as CPS? And I feel like, and that's what I was saying, racism is a mindset. This dude is a, you know, he probably works with you, you know, you know what I mean? Like he has black people in his life, you know, he's not gonna, you know, he doesn't go to the gas station and say you N-word, fucking pump my gas or whatever, you know what I mean? Like he's not like that, you know, but this hate is in his heart. This person is you know, and that mindset, he's gonna have a son, you know, and just these subliminal things that he's passing on to him, his son is gonna become a cop, and the same shit is gonna happen. And it's not, you know what I mean? Think about it, bro, because that's all it is. It's this inherent, it's in the back of his mind, man. The fact that dude had a hand in his pocket while he was kneeing a dude to death, it should show you how little he valued that man's life.
That's him.
Yeah,
that's
him. But that's what I'm saying. But I'm bringing it back to that dude, Dave, who wrote that email. His son is a dude like Derek Shaver. You know what I mean? That's what I'm showing you is racism is this mindset. You know what I mean? It's this
stupidity. It's not intelligent thinking. It's a backwards.
Exactly. And so the solution is not anything the solution is not anything I can say, all right, the CPS needs to start doing this. It's not, you know, the citizens need to start doing this. It's the individual, you know what I mean? It starts with the individual. If we are all aware, you know, that, you know, racism towards blacks is a real thing, you know, you need to ask yourself, all right, what role am I playing, or what role can I play? You know, all right, am I a white person in power? Do I have black people under me that I've been disrespecting? You know, have I been saying, you know, the N-word around people? You know what I mean? You know, it's simple. Like it's simple things like that. My sister was just telling me she has like black friends, you know, that listen to hip hop music with her, and you know, they'll ask her like, hey, can I say the N-word in this song? You know,
you mean white friends?
White friends.
My bad. Sorry. White friends. And they'll ask her. And, you know, she's the minority, right? In her school, it's probably like 5 of them and just one of her, you know? So she's like, yeah, whatever. And so they'll sing the song and, you know, they're singing along to it. And it's just like, she's voicing it to me now during all this thing going on. And she's like, yo, you know, like it makes her feel like less than nothing, you know, when
they also do that at concerts. That's a bigger issue though. Like that's
a bigger issue, but I just
like to show all sides. I'm sorry if I come off as like...
I get what you're saying, man. I get what you're saying. I just feel like it's just in simple things like that, man. I feel like, man, we make hip hop music. You're not the only white guy I make hip hop music with, you know, and I feel like I don't have white people saying that to me. Like that would be disrespectful, you know, like, and.
Oh man, remember at the party when that guy tried to do that?
Yeah, man.
I literally come to this party and I'm like, oh, it's a good party. What's up, everybody? I go upstairs. I'm like, show, what up? I literally hear this dude on the couch, but I'm South African. I should be able to say the N-word. I literally just like with my drink in my hand was like I froze. I was like, what the fuck did I just walk into? I was like, all right, I gotta sit down and see this. Boom, popcorn. And this guy's just there. He's like, yeah, man. He's like, I'm from South Africa. And literally shows just like, but apartheid. And I'm there like.
Nah, man, we just, even his white homie next to him, I was telling my sister about this too, was just like, he had like his face in his palm. Like you know, I could not believe he was trying to argue with me about this too. You know, it was supposed to be like he brought it up in a conversation. I was like, yo, shut that shit down. Don't say that again. And he started, yo, but I'm from, you know, it turned into a whole conversation, you know, and there were other black people there too, you know, so it wasn't like, are you trying to get jumped, bro?
No, like,
it almost takes some balls.
I know, bro. And I just don't understand how you can argue like that to another black person. Yeah. I'll tell you, I'm going to tell a story right now. So I was in Niagara Falls, right? Like I lived in Niagara Falls. I moved to Ontario for a little bit and I had no friends, didn't know anybody. Everybody at my work was at least 20, 30 years older than me. So it's really hard to meet people. One of the guys at my work was like, hey, I'll introduce you to my son. He's your age. Like maybe you'll hang out, maybe you'll get to know him. So I got to know him. He was a pretty chill dude. And, you know, I met him like 2 or 3 times. And then one night he's like, hey, you want to go out? Like we're going to go out to this club. Like whatever, it's going to be like a bar. It's going to be a pretty chill night. I was like, okay, just me and you. He's like, yeah, but I think this girl that I know, like I just met her a few weeks ago, is going to come through. I was like, oh, how well do you know her? He's like, not really that well, but like she might just come through. I was like, okay, cool. So we go to the bar and immediately I realized, I'm like, oh, because I got my hair cut at a black barbershop in Niagara Falls because I know that they're going to give me a good fade, right? You just know that that's the move, right? I'm not going to go to fucking Great Clips. No, I'm going to look for, you know what I'm saying? So I went in and so I actually knew a few of those guys from the shop and I kind of looked at them and I was like, what's up? And they're like, oh yeah, we know you. I was like, okay, cool. So let's hit the section. I see the guy, I shake his hand, I'm like, what's up? And then I meet this girl. I think she's Portuguese. She said she was from Brazil, right? And then I honestly don't even know how the conversation got there. I was pretty faded at the time, but she goes, I'm not afraid to say the N-word. I'm not afraid to say it right now. And dead ass yelled it. And we were the three white people. We were the three white people in a bar of black people. Bro, never in my life have I felt my entire body just crawl into itself and me want to just like fade away from existence. Like I just wanted to turn into a ghost. I was like, I was like, oh my God. And I just was like, what the fuck is this? And you just see the reaction on their faces. They're all turning around like, did you really just do that? The DJ like scratched the music, like it stopped, like everything was like I looked at my friend Clayton, like the guy Clayton, he was kind of shook too. We all just like stopped for a minute, and one guy just was like, "Hey, don't say that shit!" And then the music started again, and I got up and I left. I was like, "Fuck this! I don't know you." But here's the shitty thing: now I'm associated with that girl.
Oh yeah.
I can't go to the black barbershop anymore. I can't go to the black barbershop because they don't like me now. They're like, yo, honestly, that's the guy you're hanging out with. That racist person said the M-word. You probably think you could say the M-word too. And I like, what are you gonna do? Be like, yo, I didn't know her. Like I didn't do. They're like, sure, man, whatever. I remember I like looked at one of the guys who cut my hair, and he looked at me with these eyes, and he kind of just shaking his head, and I was like, that was it, bro. That was it. Like that was it. And I think a few weeks later, I did go back into the shop and I kind of talked to the guy about it. He's cutting my hair, and I was like, no, I like literally don't know where I just moved here. Like I promise, I pulled out the I pulled out the Alberta ID, guys. I was like, Alberta, I just came here. Like but low-key, he was kind of like, I don't know about shit. You know?
Yeah, look, I'm gonna give you this fade. I don't want to see you again.
And yeah, that was such a bad look, bro. And
I feel you.
It's fucked up. Like,
yeah, man. What do you think that chick was coming from? Like, just from they say it and where she's from, or just fucking just being silly?
She's probably just like international. Like, oh, I'm Portuguese. Like, I'm just gonna say whatever I want. Like, I have no fuck clue. I never saw her again. Obviously, it was just fucking weird. Like, I just don't understand why you would say that in a room of like, it's like that Family Guy skit where Cleveland gives Peter the pass, and he goes to Brooklyn and says that or something, and like. I don't know. It's just like it was just not a good look. And this is the thing, right? Like as a white person, half white, half Latino, but obviously white passing, we got to just understand that when it comes to racism, we can't be the ones to lead this conversation. We're the ones to support it. Part of the reason why these protests are so popular, or not popular, but so densely populated, and they're so big. Daystorm said this. I was watching his TikTok the other day. He said, "Look, when I went to the protests, most of the people around me didn't look like me." This is young white America coming out and saying we don't support racism because we fuck with the culture, we fuck with the music, we fuck with the entertainers, the sports players. We have grown up with black culture in our lives. We're not a part of this. We're not going to be a part of this. So really, that is the tide for change. But it's again being led by the black protesters leading the chants, holding the signs, and then it's being supported kind of by this larger and there's no place ever for a person to kind of lecture another on race if you're not of the same situation. And somebody, I'm not going to say who, but somebody learned this recently because this happened on CBC. This guy, his name is Stockton Day, and he was on CBC. It's called Power and Politics. It's a show. He was on there. He's an Alberta politician. Best friends with Jason Kenney, been around for about 25 years. He sits on the TELUS board of directors, and he was on Power and Politics, and they were asking him about Trudeau's comments because Trudeau said, we have work to do in Canada, which obviously we all know we do. We're not perfect. The history, we've been bad in the past. We've been bad now. There's things to do. Is Canada a better place than the United States? Yes, but we're not perfect at all by any means. And he goes on there and says the opposite. He says, and by the way, he's on a panel with I think she's an anthropology professor at McGill University, a black girl with glasses. And he goes and he says, racism isn't as bad in Canada as the United States. In fact, it pretty much doesn't exist here. And I'm proud of that. He goes, the system here is not systematically racist. Black people do not receive discrimination in Canada. And he's like, should Black people not be racially bullied? That's right. Should I have not been bullied for my glasses when I was a child? That's right. Essentially equating racism to, the fact that he wore glasses as a child. And the girl hits him with like this eyebrow like this. And a few of the other people on there were like, and Twitter exploded. And what happened? Twitter exploded. The girl herself tweeted something. I think she said, "Hey Stockton, sorry for your glasses and getting bullied as a child. I guess the children in my school were too busy calling me the N-word to notice that I was even wearing glasses," which is like, whoa. That tweet got like 4,000 likes. And overall, guess what happened? He lost his position on the TELUS board of directors. He's never going to appear on that TV show again. And he also lost another job at a law firm as well. So the reality, I know the justice was swift. Honestly, this was in like a period of 3 days. The reality is, I think pretty much everyone's been put on notice. Like, you cannot be not with this human rights issue. And if you are not with it, you're going to lose your positions of power, because this is not a good look.
But don't you think it would have been better if he was taught the information instead of just like, fuck you?
I mean, like, here's the thing, man. I think he definitely was taught a lesson, because he tweeted his apology, and because he had lots of like not just Black, but Latin and, Indian Canadians in his comments being like, yo, you couldn't say that, bro. And there were some really hilarious memes, by the way. One of the hilarious memes was like, it was a picture of glasses, and it was like a Venn diagram of people who experienced racism and Stockton Day, right? Because the glasses are like separated. And so he tweeted, he said, okay, you know what? You guys have given me feedback. I've learned that clearly I have some thinking to do. But here's the issue. He was a cabinet minister under Stephen Harper. So he was at a federal government level for for number of 8 years during Harper's prime minister term. He's been an Alberta politician. So the reality is, when you're appearing on a show to give insight and knowledge, and you've been a politician, there's no excuse. There's no excuse for not knowing these sorts of things. And it clearly shows that people at that level are not thinking about that, and can be oblivious, and that's not okay. So I and here's the other thing too, though, right? Is it's not like even like a fuck you, you're done. He lost his jobs, yes, but he's still going to be running in the circle with those people. He's still going to be chilling with Jason Kenney and these other guys who are influential Alberta politicians. So it's not even like a case of like, and here's the key too, by the way, I want to say this guy, I don't think he's racist. I legitimately do not. I just think he's ignorant. Yeah. But there's just no kind of excuse for ignorance when you're at that high of a level. I don't know. That's kind of how I feel about that situation.
Yeah, I feel you. Yeah. I think in conclusion, with this, I think we were just talking about, the protest in Canada. I think, we're just protesting, right? I agree with the protest in Canada, because we're just showing that we support it, right? And then as far as change, what is it going to take to spark change? I think it's just being like, it starts with the individual. There isn't a one fix it all thing for it. It starts with, now that we're aware that racism is real, whoever you are, like, what role are you playing in it? And, if you're not playing a role in it, what can you do, to move forward in the right direction, So I think it just starts with a mindset change, and it looks like, with more people being at these protests every day, more people fucking, tearing down people who say the wrong thing, it's becoming the new norm to not be a fucking racist. I hope it becomes the norm, and it's not just something that's trending right now.
Yeah, I do think teaching people, I think asking questions. I don't think you should be condemned for asking questions, but I don't think people are being condemned for asking. I think people are just actually super unaware of what's happening in society. Yeah. And so I do think moving forward, just like totally throwing someone to the side and be like, no, you're not, you're stupid. I don't think that's right. I think you should share information, and I think you should help that person understand what's actually happening. Yeah. Because I grew up on hip hop, so I've literally been hearing this for so long. You know what I mean? So it's just like, it's in my head. But a lot of people they just grew up differently, and they grew up in a place where they're comfortable. They don't go places. They don't know anyone but who they're around, because they stay where they're at. Yeah. There's a lot of things. So it's like, I don't want to live in a society where you're just like condemned. I mean, that guy probably he shouldn't have said that, and he should have probably lost his job for that, because that's a lot of responsibility, and you can't say shit like that. But
you just can't be that ignorant. But at the same time, he shouldn't be like quote unquote like canceled. I know what you mean. Yeah, it's like he's got to be given an opportunity to learn. But again, when you're 70 years old, 70, and you're literally sitting on the board of directors for a public, national telecom, like, and you just can't be saying stuff like that. So I was shocked though when I read about him losing all his jobs and all this stuff. I was like, whoa, like he didn't say something explicitly racist. He just said something very tone deaf. But I actually thought about it too, and I was like, yo, is he a victim of this moment? Like, is it just because of this happening at this very second? Like, if he had said the same shit, but it might have been a few months ago, would have been like, oh, that's just a bad look, and then whatever, he would have kept moving? I think so, actually. So, I mean, just a bad time overall to display a high level of ignorance, I guess. And that's, it's bad. But I do agree. I think people should be able to be given the chance to kind of redeem themselves, quote unquote, in society. I'm not even sure how that is, or just like experience other things. I think ultimately, like you said, it's a lack of information. It's a lack of knowledge. It's people who, like when I moved to Edmonton and I, met some people, and then I hung out in a group, and I kind of realized for the first time in my life, whoa, I'm only hanging out in a group with white people, like only white people. Like, that's never been my experience. My whole experience has been hanging out with like Filipinos, Latinos, Black people, white people, like everything. I've just always been, I guess, kind of blessed in a sense to have a diverse group of friends, but not everyone's like that. Some people like legitimately just have like solid core groups, and it could be other nationalities too. Like it could be Asian, you only hang out with Asians. Black, you only hang out with Black. It's the same thing, right? We all kind of just have to like mix and experience each other's culture, I guess. Yeah.
I have to go to the bathroom, but you guys can like start talking about like other shit.
Do that? Damn, I've been holding it the whole time. Come on, man.
What thing? This whole period of toilet break is going to be cut out. So did that last thing end at a point where we can cut it and we can just now continue?
Yeah.
Did you come to a conclusion? Cool. All right. So we're about to get started then.
Okay.
Cool. All right. So on to local. And as far as local news, we're going to continue with the protests. So here in Calgary, we had a Trump supporter. We know it was a Trump supporter because his T-shirt kind of had like, the Trump 2016 campaign thing going on. And he was literally just at the protest, just being like, this is Canada, you guys don't need to be protesting, and it's kind of gone viral around Canada. This guy just looks like an idiot. How do you guys feel about this?
Literally some idiot, like just trying to get attention and start shit for absolutely no reason. Like, I don't understand why you would even do that. You're going to be the only person doing that. He clearly was just off some shit and some crackhead or some shit. I don't know. It's fucking stupid.
Yeah. What do you think, Soy?
I saw the video. It was pretty funny. Everyone was ganging up on him. I don't know if they destroyed his stuff, which I was just like, come on, don't destroy his stuff.
I know they didn't destroy his stuff, but I was like, I saw the police. I saw the police like come up to him and just be like, bro, just go.
Yeah,
just be like, go home. Like,
don't ever protest this.
Like, this is a peaceful protest. Why are you trying to make these people violent?
What the fuck did he think was going to happen? Like, did he think he was just going to go there and be like, all right, that's enough? And it was like, okay, no. That's just dumb. And dude, I hate when that kind of stuff happens, because like literally I do not like when people are grouped into individuals that do wrong. I think it's foolish behavior. And
my own is this though. Sorry, finish what you're gonna say.
Well, that's all I was saying. I think it's foolish to, and I don't think that's happening necessarily. I think people can see through the individuals. Like, if you're gonna go to a fucking, it's just ignorance, and it's just so dumb. That's really all it is. It's nothing deeper than that. It's just a dumb person doing a dumb thing to me. And I don't like, I don't necessarily, I'm glad he wasn't hurt, because if he was hurt, I would have said that was wrong. I don't think violence is ever.
Of course. This is Calgary, man. It's Canada. We're not going to hurt him. which is tell him to go home.
Would you please go home, sir?
Do you think that? My question is, why do you think he wore a Trump shirt? Like, what is the significance of that? Like, he didn't have to. We could want a white shirt. Like, why did he? Why did he pick out that shirt from his laundry and like, this is the one I'm going to wear to fuck shit up?
Probably because I think there's a lot of misconception going around. It's like people are saying like, if you're a Trump supporter, that you're automatically racist, and I think some people do coincide with that belief. Mm-hmm. The shitty people, but I think generalizing it to that is not good. But I don't know. I think it's really just a stupid person doing stupid things to me.
I think so as well. Yeah, definitely not something we should look too much into. But it definitely is to me. Like, why is it that this one dude that came to come fuck up the protest decided to wear a Trump shirt? It's definitely I don't know, something to think about. But yeah, that guy was definitely an idiot. We should not think about him too much. On to the next news. So, how has working from home been for you during the quarantine? I guess for everyone. Start with you, Soy.
It's kind of bittersweet because I know it's going to end, and it's, for most people, I think a lot of people do like some people do actually really like the 9 to 5 thing where they go, and I'm sure like a lot of times, a lot of people's escape from reality is their work. And so I could see how some people are like desperate to go back. But for me, as an artist, it's kind of like, I was telling Paxton about this before we went biking for 10 years, that it kind of feels like financial freedom in a way where it's like, I can get up, make music, go for a bike ride, go for a run, watch some videos, get some information, read. And it's kind of, it has actually been a really nice experience. I know there's a lot of crap going on, but for me personally, it's been really nice. It's been really nice. I was really, really in a very, very stressful spot before the virus hit, and financially, and it actually has improved my financial situation because I kept quitting jobs because I was so unhappy at certain places, and then I ended up being at a place where they were kind of not letting me have shifts anymore because of personality issues, because it's a restaurant, so they're very cliquey. So when you don't go into the clique and you don't get involved in the gossip and stuff, they don't really treat you the same. But for me, it's really been nice, to be honest. And I know that's probably something people don't want to hear, but it has been.
Have you been temporarily laid off from your position at your restaurant?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they laid everyone off, and they're bringing certain people back. Like they're asking, like my buddy Bryson, he's kind of like a supervisor there. So
so you're at Moxie's in Chauncey.
Oh yeah, Bryson. Yeah,
I love Bryson.
Yeah, he got me the job there, because that's really a very essential part to getting jobs, is knowing people. It really helps.
All right.
But yeah, he's not going to be going back anytime soon, because he's still not really comfortable like going out with the whole, because there is still a pandemic. So it's just personal preference, I guess. But
yeah, fair enough. What about you, Pax? How has working from home been treating you?
I mean, I feel like I have the unique position because I'm actually I'm quote unquote working from home. Like I'm actually still maintaining my 9 to 5 job while I'm at home, right? And in fact, I have to admit, I've been working this entire time we've been talking. Like I've been just doing stuff on the computer, right? Like I have multiple monitors, so I have you guys on one monitor, and then I'm just kind of actively submitting things and still doing my job. It's been incredible for me because honestly, I've always told my boss that working from home should be an option. I should only have to be in the office if we have a in-person meeting or if there's something we really need to review. But even then, I should only have to come into the office for that, and then I can just go home. And they've always just said the same thing, which is we can't do it. We don't know how to do it. It can't be done. Well, guess what? A fucking virus hit, and now we had to do it. So they had to scramble, obviously, because they were not prepared. They had to scramble to get laptops and all this stuff. But once they got me set up right, it was good. And honestly, I did have to drive to Edmonton and back 6 hours just to pick up a work laptop. They wouldn't ship it to me. They were like, nope, the data's too sensitive. So they made me drive 6 hours. But when I did it, I grabbed a lot of clothes from my rental. My landlords, I discussed it with them. They dropped my rent from $750 to $325. Wow. So because I'm literally not living there, I'm living at home in Calgary with my mom and sister. That is something very weird, is living back at home again with my mom and sister. Like, I definitely didn't expect to be living at home. I think it's kind of, we've all kind of had it's been a little rough around the edges. Like, we all kind of get up in each other's business and we have a little bit of fights and stuff. But in terms of like actually working from home, I'm loving it. I literally wake up at, 8:30 and I'm at work. Great. I just start my day. I'm still, I asked my boss the other day, I said, how's my service been? He said, it's been perfect. You've been giving me everything I need on time. So my delivery has not changed. In fact, I think it's improved. My morale's improved. But overall, the only thing that's holding me back, like, aside from cause like I'm working still. And so I spend, 8 hours at the computer. And then once I'm done that, the last thing I really want to do is spend another 8 hours on the computer. But if I want to advance in like projects like music and things like that, then that's kind of what I almost have to do. And I've had days like that where I'll like finish up work and then I'll still stay at the computer and do other stuff like till the night. It just doesn't feel good on your back and feels kind of hard on your eyes and stuff. So I'm trying to balance more like my 9 to 5 with, producing and other things. I think one of the big things too is my laptop shit the bed. So I got to get a new computer. So right now it's been a complete hold on any sort of musical activity, which really sucks aside from like physically play my drums. So, but yeah, no, I love it. The pandemic, I think like Soy as well. I just wish it could kind of continue. I know not everybody has been super fortunate during the situation. Like there's a lot of people with really stressful times, bills they can't pay, rent they can't pay, their job laid them off. They might not come back, permanently laid off. It's just not a good look at all. And it's really bad. But for me personally, and I've said this since quarantine started, I've been thriving and I've loved it. I've loved every minute of it. And I kind of don't want it to stop. But like Soy said, it is going to end soon for everybody. But I think for me, again, they don't know when we're going to come back into the office. And it's looking like I might not come back into the office until could be August, September, could be like beginning of September, honestly. Again, we have to see how this virus plays out in Alberta. We have to see kind of how these initial waves play out, considering people are starting to go back to restaurants and things like that. Giant protests in Calgary, like that could easily have spread the virus around. It's something that we still have to maintain in our mind and think we have to kind of watch out. And, for me at work, I have a bullpen. So I sit with 6 other people, including myself at 6, 3, and literally the person in front of me is like just so close. Like I want to say, like a meter, not even a meter away from me in terms of like my face to their face. So we're very close together. The person to my right, again, they're very close to me. So there's just no way with social distancing and maintaining that 2 meter distance that there's any way we could come back into the current situation. So I feel like I'm going to be working from home for quite some time. Yeah, that's all I'll say on that.
Nope, man. I think, excuse me, I am also enjoying working from home. Obviously, this pandemic is not a good thing, and I don't wish for it to go any longer than it is, because at the same time, I do like seeing people. That's an aspect I definitely miss, even with music. But as far as working from home, I was also laid off. I was working a commission job, so I'm pretty sure they're not going to be hiring me back. So yeah, I just kind of got into, doing what I'm doing. I'm getting the CERB. So just kind of just staying focused on what I'm doing full time, which is coming back to what Soy was saying, prior to this happening, I was working, full time. And then when I get home from work, I have to figure out how I'm going to, do music, Whereas, now I wake up in the morning and I'm I'm at work and I just have to work on music, so it's definitely a beautiful thing. I have been, I would say, more productive as far as just, working on my own stuff. But for the most part, I do miss seeing people, just having, just conversations you have with people, just, it's just weird, just the way things are, we linked up the other day and we'll get into that, but just not being able to, we just all still have to keep our distance, it's still just, it's so weird, and I mean, as far as that, so working from home has been a blessing to me. I can't lie, I have enjoyed it. But as far as do I want it to keep going on? I don't think so, because I really just want to for me, I want to see people, I want to go out. I want things to go back to normal. It's kind of driving me crazy. But with that being said, it is what it is. And with the time being, I'm making do. And so much like you guys, I feel like I'm thriving as well, I just, wake up and work on my goals, which is, it's a blessing,
Right. I've actually noticed in my mental health, there has been days, that's just human nature. But for the most part, I've noticed myself being a lot happier, being able to do what I like, being able to do what I love at the leisure of my time, And now I'm mixing in bike riding and shit. And now my activity is going up again, which it was kind of declining because I couldn't go to the gym and I just hate home workouts. But now that I'm going to be biking more often, it's kind of, exercise is so good for your mental health. So I think it's something that the world needs to think about. Happiness is so important. And, I think things are going to change. I don't know if businesses are going to going back to buildings and shit. You know what I mean? If they don't have to.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't think so either. So yeah, it sounds like we're all thriving, during this, during this quarantine, stay at home, work from home thing. I do think that, I think I was watching Gary Vee and he was just like, this whole quarantine has revealed to him, how advanced video conferencing calls are, and it's like prior to this whole thing happening, if someone had said to him yo, let's meet up for a meeting over Zoom, he would just be like, I don't want that lagging on me or something. Or I don't, you know what I mean? Let's just, if this is serious business, let's just meet up in person and get it out of the way. But obviously in this time where you have no other option, you realize, we're even more productive doing shit on Zoom. I can get more meetings done within the span of an hour if I'm just doing them on Zoom instead of, the commute between meetings and stuff. So he's just pointing out that even when the pandemic is over, he's probably going to just keep working from home 3 days a week, just because he gets to see his family more, all the benefits of, so that's just another perspective, right? I feel like what this has revealed is it would have been frowned. I feel like I remember I was having a conversation with someone prior to the pandemic. And it was it's frowned upon, to say I work from home, I just wake up in the morning, and I do my work from home. It's oh, so you don't have a 9 to 5 you go to, but now that's the norm, so that's, it would be frowned upon to say I have a 9 to 5 I'm going to every day.
Right.
So yeah, for me, I just feel coming out of this, I saw on the news, CCV News, this local news as well. It was about a trucking company. These guys are dispatchers. And so what they do is, they just, they coordinate trucking shipments with the loads they have to pick up. So they go to an office every day, but ever since the pandemic, all these guys work from home now. And what they're realizing is they don't need to be going to an office, that overhead cost of rent, even driving, the commute, all that stuff. All they need are computers and the phones that they use to communicate with the drivers and make everything work. So this is just a dude saying yo, I think when this thing is over, we're just going to keep working from home. We literally are making more money because we're not paying rent for the building, for the work building, where everyone's more efficient. We wake up, it's the shortest commute ever to get to work. This is what he said.
Right.
And it's I just think we're going to see that it's going to become because like what I feel is this whole situation has revealed that your job, you can do it from home. Like whoever it is, whoever it is that was working at you were working a 9 to 5 job, and now you're even saying, yo, I'm performing better at my job from home,
I am.
And
Yeah.
it's just gonna come down to when this thing is over, your employer is gonna have to make a serious decision, like if I fucking bring Paxton back into this office, I might decrease his productivity by 15%. Whereas if I leave him at home, he's not only is he gonna be happy and do more work, but we get that same productivity, So it's the same thing, I feel.
Yeah, and I'm curious to see what this will do to commercial real estate, because I know there's a lot of like you said, Shosha, there's a lot of companies that are like, you know what, we don't need this office. All good, we'll dip. And there'll be a lot of like empty office floors and vacancies kind of, happening. I think for my city specifically, like they just have some space issues. Legitimately, they have way too many people and not enough space in the building. There's no way to expand the building. You either have to build a brand new building or reconfigure, put more people in offices together. Like it's such a weird scenario. So for them to just say, hey, you know what, we're gonna leave some people at home and maybe you can just work at home like a few days out of the week, I think that's not a bad idea. But I think it depends. I think it depends ultimately on management, but I think my management, they're not going to be down. I think they're really pissed that this even had to happen. I think they're thinking this committed more stress. And I just feel like as soon as they can bring everyone back in and have that sort of control, and they might just want to do that. But again, it really depends. Yeah, it depends. It depends. It really depends on managers and stuff and all that stuff. But as long as you're getting your work done and you're proving that, hey, I'm still doing my work and everything's going successfully, I feel like it should be all right.
So one last question about this. Do you think it's going to be the new norm coming out of the quarantine for those people who, like you said it will come down to some employers, but for, people who have found that they are able to do their jobs, do you think they're going to be presenting that argument to their employers saying like, all right, I know this thing is over, but I'm going to do my best work for you if you let me work from home?
Yeah, I think 1,000,000%. I think it definitely is going to bring a new light onto the idea of working from home. I think, I think a lot of companies are going to switch over. So I think, you're right, Shosho. Again, we're all forced to try this experiment. I think the results have been pretty good. And I think where it's possible, I think a lot of people will try to exercise their right to continue to work from home.
Mm-hmm. Word. So final thing about local. I was going to ask you, so do you have any new music coming out?
Yeah, I have we talked about releasing music earlier, so I'm kind of like figuring out what I'm going to do about that, because I have it being released on the 12th of June, and it's a single called 100 Reasons. It's a song I wrote about. I was in this relationship, and I could see her like kind of stepping away from the relationship a bit. So the song is basically about that feeling of like you kind of see it crumbling. So I actually think it's a really beautiful song, but I'm not sure how I'm going to promote it, because I'm not really one to like, I don't want to use what's happening right now. Like I don't want to overstep my boundaries or like put something out there that's like, hey, I know this is, I don't know. I'll figure it out, but I'm going to find a way to do it where it's not going to come off as like, I don't know. It's a very weird situation. I'm going to have to just think about how I'm going to release it, because I do want people to hear it, because it is a good music and it's something that I think will be nice for people to escape from the reality and just kind of enjoy my sadness. But yeah.
Cool. Yeah, I just think you got to read the room, like when you decide to drop it.
Yeah.
I've also been working on some new stuff. A tape, I've been working on that for past couple of months now. Probably going to drop it hopefully this month. I'm still just mastering it. I don't have a date, but I want to say this month.
Is that going to be SoundCloud exclusive?
I think so. Yeah, I'm thinking of Audio Mac as well.
Audio Mac's fire.
Yeah.
Audio Mac. I kind of prefer Audio Mac over SoundCloud, to be honest.
I probably put it on both, man. Like at the end of the day, like, yeah. So, yeah, hopefully I'll have a date by the next time we do this podcast. But if you're listening, please expect that from me and check it out if it's already out when you hear this. Yeah. Yeah. So lastly, for local, we all went on a bike ride just the other day. We really sweet ride. We rode from the bottom of the city to following the river that runs right like through the city, from the bottom to the top. We went from the bottom, kind of like, I want to say pretty close to the center. Am I wrong, Paxton?
Well, it's funny you bring that up because I actually mapped out our route on Google Maps, my maps, because I'm kind of a map nerd. For those listening, I do maps at work. I do a lot of city planning and stuff. So I thought it'd be fun to kind of map the route and visualize it. So I know there's no video component to this, but just for the for Show and Soy here, I'm actually going to share my screen. Soy, you disabled participant screen sharing. I think you're going to have to let me share my screen. So let me do that real quick.
What did I just do?
I don't know if you can do that during the conversation.
Hold on.
See if you can.
How do you enable it? Or how do you enable it? Security?
Maybe.
Share screen? There we go.
Yeah.
How's that?
Bam, there we go. Perfect. Okay. Watch this. So I'm going to share my screen. Are you guys seeing my screen share? You seeing the mouse up here? So this was our route. that we did. Yeah. So I started, in Bridlewood, obviously where I live. And then I biked down. This point right here is Bob. That's where we met. And then we biked across Shaughnessy through Millrise into Fish Creek. Then we biked underneath McLeod Trail to Bannister. And we entered, and then we just did Fish Creek. And essentially we kind of just did Fish Creek Park, a trail all the way to the Bow River, which was past the ranch. That was quite a bit of biking that we did there. And then we went all the way north, again, following the Bow River. And we stopped in just past Douglas Dale underneath the bridge that connects Deerfoot Trail between Douglas Dale and Anderson. So yeah, we biked quite a bit. And then Show, you decided to turn around at that point and go home. And Soy and I went home. Soy and I actually continued biking north. We actually biked near Sue Higgins Park. It's like a dog park. So near Riverbend, we passed Quarry Park. We turned left. We took Southland Drive all the way west across McLeod and to Elbow Drive. And then this is where Soy went north and I decided to go south. And then I went south towards 14th Street. This is where I actually, right here is actually a dog park. And that's actually where I actually jumped into the dog park and these dogs were chasing me. And I biked literally up Anderson Road, up on the hill, and the cars are kind of on the side. And then I crossed into a Woodbine and I jumped through Fish Creek again, came out the Evergreen side and came home. In total, this whole loop was 40 kilometers that we did.
Holy cow.
So I did 40 kilometers. I think Soy, you did more than that. But here's where Show comes in and says the bike ride home for me was longer than the bike ride we did. Show, I don't know about this. Let's take a peek.
I know,
so
man.
We rode from here all the way, again, this whole thing, right? And then we went northbound. But when you came back, all you had to do was go north. So you went to here, and then you continued essentially to here, and then popped into here. Okay? Versus Soy and I had to go from here. We had to continue this route, and then I had all this to do. So I legitimately don't feel like your bike ride home was
I don't know, man.
much.
I don't know, man. So it looks like, so wait, zoom out again.
Yeah.
I apologize to anyone that's like listening to the audio of this. We're going to try to like do a better job at describing this. Okay. So, I mean, can you not do multiple of these so we can see like, so now this is for yours.
I'll have to make another one for you, Show. But this is kind of where you were at. Like we all met on this bridge, and we kind of biked. Again, you biked south to essentially here. So essentially, you did the exact same. This region right here is I think, where is it? It's this portion right here. So this is 5 kilometers. So that stretch right there is 5K.
All right.
So you did an additional 5K, and then I would say you did this portion here. I wonder if I could even just quickly I can't, but yeah, if I could just I think I have too many layers on this already. I need to figure out how to use Google My Maps better. But anyways,
all good.
You did 5K, and then I would say you did an additional maybe 7 to get home. Versus Soy, again, Soy and I had all that. I had all this, tough. and then Soy turned here, and he went up here. I legitimately think I had the longest ride home.
I think so.
And here's the thing too, right here, this, again, the hill to get up here, insane. I had to actually get off because I couldn't bike it all the way. I was too exhausted at this point when I was trying to bike this hill into getting out of Marshall Springs from Fish Creek and the Evergreen side. All in all, though, we all biked a ton. This was 40 kilometers.
So much fun.
It was so much fun, guys. We need to bike again. It was a lot of fun. Really good time.
I was so stoned when I smoked, when we stopped and we started biking back. I was so stoned, dude. It was ridiculous.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I felt like I had so much, but here's the thing now too, right? So hypothetically, if we did bike downtown, I mean,
that's insane.
It is a lot more. It's a lot more to get into downtown. I feel like, I don't know. I feel like I could do it, but the issue would be getting back. I'd almost be too gassed to bike home. We'd have to take at least an hour or something just to sit down in a park and just kind of relax. And
it's probably one of the nicer areas, though. The Princess
Island's up here. This is kind of East Village-y, Inglewood area. Yeah, for sure.
It's probably my favorite part of Calgary is that Kensington and all that. I think that's beautiful there.
Yeah, Kensington, that's right up here. Super nice. And Eau Claire. Eau Claire is my favorite area personally. That's this kind of area right here. This is where Eau Claire Market is. And then that's Princess Island Park. Super nice.
Super nice.
Super nice. I don't know, guys. What do you think? Do you think we could bike it all the way downtown? What do you think of Show?
Yeah, fuck no, bro. Fuck no, because there's no way I'd be able to make it back home.
Yeah, that's insane. You gotta take
I'm looking at this map, bro, and I'm we got to figure this out because I'm almost certain,
Show's determined.
I'm almost certain, man, I'm just I don't know, maybe I took the wrong way home, but I biked a lot, man, to get home.
To be fair, you said that because here's the thing, I'm looking here at this, right? And there are some trails that should take you straight into Shap. So you shouldn't even have left Fish Creek Park. You should have stayed the whole time. I don't even know why you went into Sundance, not gonna lie, and then had to cross the bridge over here. I assume you did, right?
Yeah.
I don't even understand why you did that, bro. There's trails that literally will take you right into Shap. So you should have just gone.
I didn't even look at a map, man. What I was doing was I was just following the way we went back. So what I'd even done is that's the fuck up I did. I went all the way to McLeod, and I was there's no way I'm gonna take this McLeod and go home that way. So you went all the way to McLeod here? Yeah, exactly. I was here. From where we started from, I made it back close to Bob, and I was I'm not gonna take that bridge back home. I might as well just take the Sundance way. So I had to come back here, and then from here I exited off here, and then just took this bridge straight home. And my house is somewhere here.
Right. Okay.
I'm using my cursor you can see my mouse.
Here, I'll stop screen sharing. I'll stop the share, and you can share now. Hit this share screen button.
Where is it?
It's right in the center. Share screen.
Oh, there it is.
Yeah.
Oh shit! I'll probably get a tune-up here pretty soon as well.
You should do it, man. And here's the thing:
way easier.
I actually got a bike rack for my car, and I kind of want to test it out. I want to see if my bike can fit on the rack and everything. I know it can fit on my car, but I just need to make sure that the bike can fit on the rack properly.
So can you just give me the addresses? I'm just gonna plan it my trip here quick. So where's Bob? Like, I guess I'll just type Bob. What am I saying?
Yeah. So again, like I made that map on Google My Maps. So it actually just took me some time to just draw the line. I did that like Sunday night. So you're just on regular Google Maps, but like regardless, it's fine. We're just doing this for quick visual purposes.
Yeah. How do I pick my next destination? So I'm at Bob. How do I say I want to go from?
Hit the directions. Hit the directions button.
Directions.
And then and now like yeah.
So where do we go from here? Like,
it's gonna take forever.
It's gonna take too long. Just like
because you had like literally you have the addresses for all the points we stopped at, right?
I
just go look at yours.
I do. I think I have. It says. Wait. Okay.
All those points where you have AA, those are all addresses.
They kind of are. Yeah. Ivor Strong Bridge.
Can you give me a postal code?
I have no idea how to do this. Oh boy. It just says Ivor Strong Bridge. That's all it says. Because again, I just dragged it onto. I just dragged it. Like I just was messing around and like following the loops and stuff. So it doesn't really. It's kind of not like that.
Fair enough, man. I'm gonna have to look into this later on because I just know like I just know personally. I'm like, yo, I definitely pedaled longer to get back home than I did to get to where I was, and I'm like, how is that even possible?
I think you unnecessarily did some. I think that's what we discovered here is that you unnecessarily did some.
I didn't even make it that far, man. I didn't even know. Like even when I look at that, like again, I gotta plan this out and we'll talk about that.
Yeah, that's funny. Yeah, man. And this is something like if we do another bike trip, we should all just kind of plot out our routes and compare. Again, like my loop was 40 kilometers, but Sawyer, you probably biked way more than that. You probably did 60K, honestly.
I don't even know. I just know by the time I got home, because when you smoke and exercise, it like heightens your high.
Right.
So by the time I got home, I was like, is this going to be over soon? And I was like sitting at home, I'm like, oh my God. Because I was already still, it was exhausting. It was fantastic. And I think with a bike tune-up, it'll be way better.
Yeah.
Because changing gears is actually so helpful. And having to stick to one is just like, But yeah, I was having it was really fun, to be honest. I'll do that again for sure.
Yeah, for sure. No, it's great. We should definitely get out and bike again. It's great to get active. It's great to kind of just be able to do fun things. Mm-hmm. And with the homies. And again, I've gotten a new bike and stuff. So I've really wanted to go biking with people, but nobody's been down because not a lot of people I know actually have good bikes or even want to bike. So the fact that you guys were down to do that is really dope. Thanks for inviting me, guys. It's a lot of fun.
Word, man. Word. So I guess that concludes it for this bike ride. We like to usually end with some artist motivation. So let me just pull up a track here. The track I'm looking at right now is called Heavy in the Game by Tupac off the album Me Against the World. I've been listening to this album a lot lately. Really funky beat on this track. Song is really just about kind of being successful as a hustler, you know. I think it is like kind of referencing the crack game, but for the most part, he's just saying, get your money, you know. I think it's dope. So let me read the bar off here. He says, but still, I get my money on major continuously. Communication through my paper. Niggas know me. Don't have no homies since they jealous. I hustle solo. Cause when I'm broke, I got no time for the fellas. Listen, ain't nothing popping about no broke nigga. Ain't no joke. Fuck what they say. Get your dough, nigga. Heavy in the game. So again, just I like that because that's in the verse. He just ends with that perspective of like, yo, I got no homies because my homies get jealous when I'm hustling too much. And even when I do have homies, and if I have homies, I'm not hustling enough, they're not gonna want to hang out with me because I'm broke, you know. So just that reflection, and then his last verse. So there's a feature on this track as well. The second verse is done by a Richie Rich, just for reference. And the last couple bars of the final verse, he says, if you choose to apply yourself, go with the grain, then come into riches and the bitches and the fame, heavy in the game. And I think it's just such a simple message, you know. Let me just read the bars before that. It says, everybody's trying to make the news. Niggas confused. Quit trying to be an OG and pay your dues. If you choose to apply yourself, go with the grain, then come into riches and bitches and fame, heavy in the game. So just saying, like, you know, there's fools trying to make the news, obviously just talking about people that are trying to test him for his dough that he will kill and put them on the news. But in this case, and he says, yo, don't be one of those fools. You know, if you choose, you know, you can apply yourself, and then applying yourself will come the bitches and the riches and the fame, you know. So just some more game there from the deceased legend. Word. That track is called Heavy in the Game, and that's off Me Against the World.
Flames.
Do you want to hit us with that conclusion?
Yes, sir. Yeah. Thank you guys for listening. This was a long one, but it was also just fun to do. I love this podcast. Again, this is just kicking it. Paxton, thank you very much for the input. It's really appreciated.
Thanks for having me on the podcast, guys.
Of course. What's your Instagram, dude?
It is at Pax Porter. If you want to see any design, any sneakers, GIS, you can get me at Pax Porter. That's PAXPORTER. And check me out at paxtonsprojects.com.
Awesome. My Instagram is at the only true soy. I'm going to have all our Instagrams on our little pictures. Show yours is Poliano _ Dawn, correct?
Word.
But yeah, thank you guys for listening. Please stay safe out there. If you're protesting, you're doing the right thing. Just be safe and stay away from violence, because that never leads anywhere good. But yeah, all right. Till next time.
All right, guys. Thank you. Peace.